Okay, I'm here. Here we are. I think so. Yeah. Hold on one second. I forgot to shut my door again. And, ow. And I had left the fan on because, surprisingly enough, when it's hot in Vegas, my studio is freezing. And when it cools off, my studio gets hotter because the air compensates. And then, of course, so I turn the fan on and then it makes floppy noises. At this point, I'm just happy if you guys can hear me and see me as I try and chip away at our current technical difficulties. It's, it's like old school HSRPM kind of broadcast. But hello, welcome. Hey, Jacqueline, Cindy, Andrea, Foozlebean, hello. Kath, good to see you. Hello, Anita. Hi, Amy. Camden is awesome. Anybody else besides me ever get teary-eyed when your kid walks up to you and mentions something he learned while he was reading on his own, through his own choice, about how the brain works, and he explains it to you and it's actually correct? Anybody else? Just me? It's kind of nice. Anyways, it's a lovely contrast in that my 10-year-old is very bright, and every day I deal with the dunces of the world. And today is almost like it's like a 2020 special on idiocy, or if there was a documentary series on Netflix all about brain cramps. This would be pretty extraordinary. Now, I have to admit something right away, and I mentioned this in the chat. Welcome if you're just joining us now. Don't forget to like and subscribe, become a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/HalSparks, and of course, you can give super chats during the show. Think of it as a tip or a thank you or a way of supporting the show, or this isn't half bad. Good job. Tip your waiter, and I'm your waiter. That's what it'd be. So, so there are a few times when I'm setting up to do the show and looking over what material, and there's a couple of ones where you're just like, Shazam, we obviously have to cover that. And Mike Lindell on Flashpoint at some kind of rando gathering at a hotel. I'm not quite sure where they are. It was like, I think Can't Stop Lying and I both saw it at probably the exact same time today, and we're like, yeah, there's no way we're not doing that today, right? But then there's some things, and I have to be completely honest. Whenever I see Sean Hannity's face, as miserable a human being as he is, it always makes me laugh. There's just something about Sean Hannity's entire nature that I find perfectly comical. Not intentionally on his part, obviously. Oh, my mic just peaked again? Oh, it's super hot. Oh, gosh. Why is that so loud? That's very hot. I'm going to whisper until I figure it out. Oh, my gersh. Oh, I know why. Because it doubled in the thing. Right. That's why. I figured it out. There you go. That's better. Thanks for the heads up, guys. So, it was Sean. It was just seeing Sean at all. I got it. I solved it. I changed the mic things. That's my fault. I had blocked it out on the other thing, but I hadn't when I changed channels and stuff. So it's fine now. We're fine. I'm fine. How are you? So this is I just like the title of this video, and you and I will be watching it for the first time together because that's how we do stuff around here. It's called Hannity. Time for the media to start doing their job. This asshole does realize he's the media, right? He recognizes that he is the media, right? What does he think? Does he think he's on college radio or something? Sean, are you under the delusion that you work for some sort of zine? Yeah, and Hannity has turned a more Trumpian color over the last little bit. Motang. It was Fox's fault, yeah. The media malpractice. I mean, that should be the name of his show. Isn't this what people get sued for when they sue Fox? And Fox's defense is always like Sidney Powell's, like, you'd have to be insane to take us seriously, right? Oh my God. Craig, thank you. Reminding everybody to hit the like button, people. Love you too, Craig. Thank you so much. So this is, Sean is going to tell us all how to media. It's about time, right? Obviously they're missing something.
We'll call this a special Hannity investigation.
Okay, so you've been sitting on your ass, polishing your chair, while somebody else threw clips together in between big puffs of vape from you. And that's because that's as far as a Sean Hannity investigation will go. Unless, of course, he's looking into who was Client 3. Maybe. That'd be for, yeah.
Because without a doubt, Joe Biden's first couple of months
have been pretty awesome, actually. Biggest aid package, I think, in American history. And in spite of the fact that your old boss, Donald Trump, and your current, I guess, submissive, I don't know what your role is, these guys. Who's Maplethorping the bullwhip right now? Between the two of you. Which one's the holder and which one's the whipper? If you know what I'm talking about. Who's playing pencil cup at Mar-a-Lago on the weekends? And look at his face, by the way. We pick a freeze frame. If he's trying to look like a cartoon Italian villain from 1945, he couldn't do a better job. Also, kind of tells that he's like, not too bad, is really what he wants to say, because part of your soul always wants to tell the truth, even if you fight against. Seattle Susie Q, thank you so much. Had no idea you and Seth Rudensky, beg your pardon, have history. The QAF reunion was wonderful. Thank you, Seattle Susie Q. Yeah, I did a couple of events raising money for those guys. So thank you for being there.
They've been an unmitigated disaster.
Well, for Trump and for you and your network. I mean, you guys did hear, right? You guys did hear the news. Let's see. I mean, as far as let's see. Let's see. When was this? That's February 5th. There's a new one. Hold on. Let's see. Recent news. Let's see. We'll go in here. Showbiz 411. I guess this is the February one or whatever, but that's why it's been an unmitigated disaster. Maddow is beating Hannity and has for 6 months apparently at this point.
He's not even getting his radical New Green Deal socialist agenda through.
It's almost as if you made that shit up and he's not trying. It's amazing when you set a bar for someone else and they don't hit this artificial bar that's not even on the track and field they're playing on.
Evidence by tonight. But if you're dumb
by tonight
enough to rely on, the New York Times as your sole only source for news, I doubt you'd have any idea that President Sippy Cup, that guy, is struggling and failing on every...
Well, I mean, obviously we don't listen to you. Thank you, Line of Judea. McAfee tied to Epstein. Curious? Yeah, not surprising at all. I mean, they're cut from the same cloth in some ways. He's dead. They also have that in common today. Why is his head and his hair so weird looking? My belief is that Sean Hannity is the only surviving member of our gang, all grown up. That said, he's President Sippy Cup, and he's president, I guess, would be the harbor. So a guy who, according to you, drinks from a sippy cup is president of the United States, and you're losing the ratings game to Rachel Maddow. I understand how this is a tough time.
On every front, the head.
It's a toupee. You think think Shawnity's hair's Shawnity? Listen to me, Shawnity. Sean Hannity's hair is a toupee. It's not stapled on.
Lines from the Times. It reads like a beautiful.
It really likes
love story, praising Biden for his vaccine push, the vaccine Donald Trump gave him, touting Biden.
Even the one the Republicans won't take.
Biden's constructive meeting with Vladimir Putin. He gave Putin a waiver on a pipeline to build while canceling the Keystone XL pipeline and firing 11,000 Americans.
You mean the Canadian pipeline that would have poisoned our aquifers that we wouldn't benefit from other than maintaining the holes in it? Oh, you mean the 11,000 jobs it would be to patch holes in another pipeline going across our territory that just helps Canadian shale oil get to market? You mean the very same shale oil that's more environmentally difficult and damaging to get than the oil we actually pull out of the ground here in the United States? You mean that pipeline?
And then, of course, they like to, at the New York Times, cherry-pick polls that always show Biden in a favorable light.
Yeah, and by cherry pick, he means all of the polls except Rasmussen, which they would like to cherry pick.
Right, but even more telling are the stories that the Times will ignore. We call this bias by omission. For example, the New York Times, like the rest of the media.
Oh, so a bias by omission. Like, let's say, for example, you guys, every time the stock market went up under Trump, you blew smoke up his ass and gave him a rusty trombone to prove that he was, to show that he was the greatest economic winner that America has ever elected. And then, of course, now that it's still going up under Biden, and there's talk throughout the markets of stability and increased growth, and the housing market is expanding and all that kind of stuff. Now that that's happening under Biden, you don't cover it at all? At all? You mean that kind of bias by omission? And Deirdre, thank you. Please use this for a reward for Camden. He sounds like he's very smart. Good job, Dad. He is brilliant.
They say almost nothing about Joe Biden's cognitive issues.
Cognitive issues. I don't know why they're not covering the shit you make up in your own head more often. I don't know why the New York Times isn't mining the skull of Sean Hannity for paranoid delusions.
Or massive inflation, or the unemployment.
Oh, massive inflation. Let's see. Powell on inflation. Let's see. Massive inflation. Massive. I don't know. I don't think massive inflation. So the inflation that's currently happening in the first few months of a new presidency has nothing to do with the presidency that happened before. I'm sure none of you blame Barack Obama for what it took to recover us from the Great Recession or any of that stuff. That was all Obama's fault. Nothing happened before. Okay. And then let's see. Very, very unlikely the U.S. will see 1970 style inflation. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell continued to attribute most of the recent inflation surge to factors closely tied to the economic reopening. He said it is very, very unlikely that a repeat of 1970 style inflation could happen, primarily because of the Fed's commitments to price stability. Committee Republicans repeatedly pressed Powell on whether the economy was headed towards the hyperinflation of that era. His answer was no. Yeah. You mean that kind of inflation?
Employment rate, or the numerous scandals surrounding Hunter Biden.
I'm sorry, what scandals would those be? Oh, the scandal about Rudy Giuliani pretending to have his laptop. I mean, that's kind of a scandal. I don't know that it's Hunter Biden's or Joe Biden's scandal. It's certainly a scandal. It's certainly, I would consider it scandalous to concoct evidence that allegedly contains child porn and make multiple copies of it and hold those into your home and refuse to give them to people as evidence. That's it. Yeah.
Many of which now implicate directly his father, who was caught 2.5 weeks ago in a lie, saying he's never talked to Hunter about his foreign business dealings. But yet we have pictures of Joe Biden with Hunter's foreign business partners. We'll have more on that in a moment.
Speaking of moron, that's the same thing. You didn't catch him in a lie. Catch him in a lie. Please go ahead. Try. Let me see that you do. He may have. He hasn't yet, but he might yet.
But needless to say, we have
well, then why are you saying
an information crisis in the country? The Times, the rest of the media mob, they're bending over backwards every second, minute, hour.
Yeah, and that's not how you do it. When it comes to, why is the media bending over backwards for Joe Biden when Sean Hannity is still bending over forwards for Donald Trump? I'm sorry.
of every day to protect Joe Biden, and it was and remains a very different story with President Trump, because from the moment Donald Trump and Melania Trump came down that escalator.
Yeah, she was with him. I mean, she didn't run for office, obviously. She couldn't run for president. She can't be vice president. She wasn't born in the country.
At Trump Tower in 2015.
You almost said Trump turd, which I understand.
Continuing to this day, the so-called newspaper of record, they have been stalking, never-ending stalking of Donald Trump.
Stalking of him? Stalking. He was a dude on a TV show, a game show host, who'd hosted SNL, who allegedly was in Forbes' top 500, even though he wasn't, and he lied. And I mean, he's been basically blowing the media his entire life, and then he becomes president, and they're stalking him. Sean, they're stalking him. You have people on who are just following around his kid, Biden's kid. I mean, like the current president. What am I supposed to say? Sean Hannity is stalking Joe Biden? Well, actually, kind of is. That's a good point.
The same with the 3 broadcast networks and 2 fake news cable channels.
Fox and Fox Business. Okay.
Now, literally, they spent 5 long years spewing lies, a conspiracy theory, one after another, and a huge hoax on the American people.
What would those? What were the lies and the hoax and the? That he was, that he'd actually won, or that he was popular. I think that was probably the biggest media hoax about Donald Trump, is the continual barrage of stories about that he was actually well-liked or overtly popular, when really he had a 30% ceiling like the day after he got elected, and that got worse, technically. I mean, that's a hoax, I suppose, if you want to go that way.
They smeared members of the president's family. They pushed the phony Russian disinformation dossier that Hillary Clinton paid for.
Well, what was it? Washington Free Beacon paid for that through Fusion GPS, and then decided to back Trump, so they sold it to her. She didn't use it, so Christopher Steele took it to the FBI and to John McCain, and who also furthered it to the FBI, because his concern was that the DNC and Hillary weren't going to act on it, and that it was evidence that this guy is a crook, and it turned out to be true. So it's all true. The dossier is true. I mean, I don't know for sure that the PP tape story is true, but the peeing on the bed thing is completely believable. It's gross, and I think he would have, I mean, you gotta. There's a lot you gotta do when you're passing the time in a room full of Russian hookers and you can't get it up. You know what I mean? There's a lot of. At one point you're going to break out Yahtzee just to not embarrass yourself. So I don't doubt that if one of them had to go, he just said, "Go in the bed. I'm not sleeping in it anyways. I'm up all night on this Russian Sudafed."
They used that to attack Donald Trump. In 2018, it was Ben Smith, my buddy himself. He published a New York Times op-ed detailing how proud he was of himself for publishing Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for dirty Russian disinformation dossier.
Which all turned out to be largely true, and none of it's been refuted fully. Some of it's just been denied.
A year later, he stated, quote, "The broad outline of what Christopher Steele was writing is unquestionably true. No,
yeah.
Ben, it was unquestionably false."
Well, oh man, take that, Ben. Even though Joe Pompeo said that, not Ben, but I know that you're supposed to, I know that you didn't review this and he's your friend, and it's 2 different magazine. All right.
It was full of Russian misinformation and Russian lies, and you were a willing dupe in all of this. And
what? I mean, have Trump on. He'll come on, won't he, Sean? I mean, you won't have him on because he's a ratings murderer. But why don't you have him on and ask him if Russia would do such a thing? I'm sure he would go, I can't imagine why they would do such a thing, right?
And the New York Times and their deceptive coverage didn't stop there. Here are a few more examples. It's
going to be terrible.
Take a look.
First of all, I think we need to start asking.
Trump's son met with Russian lawyer after being promised info on Clinton. True.
Ourselves, and I think in particular Republican leaders in Congress, need to start asking themselves, at what point do we stop giving the benefit of the doubt here? The evidence here of these close ties with Russia continue to mount with each and every day.
But I think this is the more significant quote.
First of all, I don't know why that's a Hillary Clinton spokesperson talking about a New York Times story. I don't know how that furthers Sean's point. I don't have much more hope for the next two clips I think we're probably going to see if the rule of three stands. But there was nothing in what was said in the first part of this that is untrue or doesn't stand up. No, Stormy Daniels not the Russian hooker. The PP tape is about Russian prostitutes peeing on the bed in the presidential suite of the hotel that they put Trump up in. That's in the dossier, that he apparently, out of his disdain for Barack and Michelle Obama, had these prostitutes pee on the bed as a sign of disrespect. And unless, of course, you're into that kind of thing, in which case it wouldn't be. But that's the story. It's totally gross and right in line with who he is.
Quote.
And like, believe me, that story is the least of our worries. Because the man admitted to groping women without their permission. Far worse than anything a Russian hooker could do to Sheets for free or for pay. For extra credit or, completely on the tab. Whatever they do to Sheets, not an issue. Wash them or burn them, I suppose. Right? So, but the whole, this idiot on a recording bragging to Billy Bush that he can grab women between their legs without even asking because he's a star and they just let you do it. And then popping a breath mint because he was planning on kissing the female host, whether she wanted it or not. Far worse. Just fucking gross. Just a disgusting human being. The bed thing, the funny thing that they fixate on how dirty and disgusting the bed thing is, I think is actually sort of a plot by the Hannitys of the world to make it look like he's being tainted with these awful things, when that doesn't even register next to what he said in the Access Hollywood tape. It's not even in the same ballpark. I don't care. You know what I mean? Fetishize or defetishize a circumstance, it's whatever. But what he said on the bus is, I don't know, nobody's going that the dirty, disgusting Access Hollywood tape that's been completely debunked, because they can't, because it's really him, and he really did say it, and he really is a believer in that.
I faced great pressure because of Russia. That's taken off. It sure seems to fit one of the elements that there was obstruction of justice, no?
Robert S. Mueller,
Yes. Yeah, that seems right. Yeah.
the third, has been examining two chief questions: ties between Donald Trump's campaign and Russia.
Paul Manafort working for the Poroshenko, or I always get those names mixed up. The president of Ukraine at the time, who was a Russian sock puppet who ran to Russia after he was basically deposed and hid, and now is under the protection of Vladimir Putin. Manafort was the guy who gave him the idea to, put agent provocateurs in the riot on May Day, or the protests on May Day, and then have snipers fire at them from the crowd, resulting in the deaths of Ukrainian citizens. That was Paul Manafort's idea. Paul Manafort joins the Trump campaign, works for him for free, removes offensive weaponry for Ukraine from the RNC platform, which is the Trump campaign's only change. And you're going to tell me that Trump let this guy run his campaign for free just because it was on the cheap. It wasn't because he was linked to the people that Trump wanted to be linked to. Also, Alpha Bank server. Also, all the other stuff, the financial stuff we'll point to.
And
Also, Don Jr. saying we get all the money we want, or it was Eric saying we get all the money we want out of Russia right now. Don Jr. saying the same thing.
Trump, as president, has tried to obstruct that investigation. I don't know if I can explain it as well as I did before. If they get a report from the Justice Department, they will certainly take impeachment seriously, if not begin an impeachment process against the president.
They reported lie after lie after lie.
Where is your assertion that that's a lie? I mean, you're saying it's a lie right now, but it only took me a few words on each of those points to offer facts that backed up my position that they aren't lies. Why would you just say lie after lie after lie, rely on graphic? Oh, that's right. You're on Fox News and that's your job and you're Trump's PR person.
They spewed conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. And as
what was the conspiracy theory there? Honestly, what was the conspiracy theory? That they were coordinating, that there was collusion? Is that a conspiracy theory? I think it's just an accusation of collusion and manipulation. You could always refute it. You could always go, I spoke personally to yada yada, and they said, I've never saw the guy. Of course, you can't say that because everybody you talk to around Trump and in the Trump campaign winks and nods when they say, we don't talk to Russia. Thanks, John.
And as we speak, the New York Times, their Washington correspondent, Maggie Haberman, covers Donald Trump nearly, get this, 9 times more than the current president, Joe Biden.
Well, she does, because that's her beat, effectively. She has the inside scoop on that. She doesn't have the inside scoop on the Biden White House for whatever reason. Other people have that. You kind of associate, you send reporters to do the job. This goes back to the whole, the FBI is looking for white supremacists, so they're not going to go after Al-Qaeda and serial killers because they'll be too busy, as if there aren't divisions. Holy shit. Thank you, Angie.
When are they going?
Oh, yeah, Gail, we'll get to the Michigan Bureau of Elections today. The Republicans there basically, the quote was, the audits are concrete evidence that November's election was fair, secure, and accurate, and that the results reflect the will of Michigan voters. It was just an FU to Trump, and it was beautiful.
Going to stop giving Joe and Hunter the benefit of the doubt, to quote them. It's completely insane. They stalked Donald Trump. It's
terrible. They're just following him around. It reminds me of that joke that Alec Baldwin did on SNL. They're like, the media is always trying to destroy me, and but how are they doing that? By taking video of me and taking everything I say and everything I do and putting it on television. And that's basically.
They still stalk Donald Trump, and they kiss the ass of, and they protect Joe Biden and his corrupt crack addict son, Hunter. Joe Biden is in the Oval Office, Matt.
You realize Hunter wrote a book about his addictions and that kind of stuff. P.S. Speaking of crack addicts, when are you going to have Mike Lindell on again?
Maggie, Ben, Joe is in the Oval Office. Maybe it's time to start doing your job. The New York Times, the rest of the media mob, they're nothing more.
You're starting to do the Trump sniff again. Did he send you a box of the green Sudafed? What happened?
More than Green New Deal socialists and propagandists.
Green New Deal socialists and propagandists. The New York Times is? What?
They lie. They push their agenda. They push propaganda, misinformation.
But enough about your writers. Thanks, Michelle.
And they pretend to be something that they're not.
Uh-oh. What are they not?
Journalists.
Oh, bam. Boom! First they said, that's not true, it's false, and now he's like, you're pretending to be journalists.
They are, in fact, nothing but modern-day version of Pravda. This newspaper is not only biased, it is corrupt, and it is dishonest. In fact...
it's terrible. How could I show us what they did that was corrupt and dishonest. I mean, I know you're showing clips of them talking about Trump in a negative light based on the fact that they were reporting on shitty things that he did, which in theory would just be journalism, but because you like what he did, even when it was awful, you like the fact that he grabs women without their permission, Sean. That's kind of your thing, I guess. It's something you would want Donald Trump to be able to do to your wife when you're not around, or your daughters, for example, when you are, and you're up for it. It's the least you can do for the man, right? And so when they report on that kind of stuff, obviously, clearly, it's a result of bias and the like. I mean, you have half a screen here and 9 Fiverr accounts. You could throw something up right here that says, here's the things that they went back on after they had to report. It wasn't that they wrote a retraction and said, we don't know that for a fact, or we have sources that disagree on this later, like where they literally went, this was the quote and this was the opposite of the quote was actually the opposite. Show that. I mean, you got a whole half a screen here. It's not like we need to see more of your head.
In fact, right now, the New York Times is facing multiple major defamation lawsuits.
Terrible.
And a pretty amazing decision.
Amazing.
The New York Supreme Court Not an easy place to win a case. They
refused to dismiss Project Veritas lawsuit against New York Times.
refused to dismiss a lawsuit from Project Veritas, and they have now granted Project Veritas and James O'Keefe discovery. Sarah Palin's defamation suit against the New York Times, that is still ongoing, and that appears headed for trial in July. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be awesome. I can't wait for her to take the stand. I need the programming.
And the Times is also facing a suit from Covington High School student Nicholas Sandmann. I'm predicting they'll probably pay him tens and tens of millions of dollars because they defamed his character, told lies about him.
Didn't they already do that? Didn't he already win, or they settled?
Him, as many other media
Oh, maybe he did. It was Washington Post.
outlets will likely be paying Mr. Sandmann a fortune.
Sandman?
The New York Times, the rest of the media mob, they're not interested in truth.
I'm sorry, were any of those about Donald Trump? Were they in the stalking of Donald Trump? Remember the premise you started off with? In the stalking of Donald Trump, was there anything in their coverage that shows there is a defamation lawsuit that was held against the New York Times by the state Supreme Court or is being furthered? I mean, if we're talking about the media to do its job and Maggie Haberman's, she's stalking Trump, now it's her turn to stalk Biden. She's not. Anybody? No? Credibility in ruins? Really? Sean, you said Trump was going to win.
They're interested in destroying their political enemies. That's far more important to them. And with all the venom, all the hate, all the ink, all the vitriol,
all the ads for mattress stores in the greater New York area.
They're all clearly
thank you, Lulu girl.
addicted to all things Donald Trump. And the reality is, psychologically for them, they cannot quit their psychotic addiction to Donald Trump.
Yeah, he just left in January. We're still dealing with the ramifications of what he did. And obviously, once Biden policies are locked in or passed, for example, then it's less and less of a concern. Believe me, nobody gives a shit. I mean, he's been posting his microblog, and I gave up on it a long time ago. I only really show his speeches because you guys pretend nobody does, and everybody around him says nobody does. So I got to throw myself on that grenade. And frankly, they're hilarious, but there is...
They miss him more than anybody.
Well, no, I mean, obviously news is getting painfully normal right now, but that's good for humanity. Might be bad for print.
My message to the Times, my message to the rest of the media mob is simple.
All right. Well, I wouldn't expect a complex message from you, Sean.
It's time for you to tell the truth.
Okay, yes. Everybody start reporting on the fact that Sean Hannity was number 3, the third client of Michael Cohen, and probably has similar background issues that Trump had with Stormy Daniels and Karen Douglas, was it? He probably has several of those things going around, probably around his divorce and the like, and financially might very well be intertwined with Trump on a couple of different levels. So yeah, it's a good, start doing your job and reporting on Sean Hannity's reality.
It's time for you to own your own truth. You are radical leftist, New Green Deal, Trump hating, Trump obsessed.
You are the labels I assigned to you. Whether or not they are true is immaterial.
New Green Deal socialist.
Didn't you just say that? Wait a minute. Hold on.
You to own your own truth.
Okay, own your own truth. Here it comes.
You are radical leftist,
right?
New Green Deal.
New Green Deal.
Trump hating, Trump obsessed.
Trump obsessed.
New Green Deal socialist.
New Green Deal socialists. Okay, so different from the... He means Green New Deal. Yes, he does. And he means it wrong twice.
That's who you are.
Yeah, that's who you are. That's who you will always be, a flagon.
You're kind of like a talk show host. You claim
no, Sean. You're kind of like a talk show host.
To be a journalist, and you're not.
Methinks m'lady doth protest too much.
Partisan propaganda.
Or obsessed too much, I suppose.
And it's very easy to expose all of your lying.
Well, then why don't you do it? If it's that, I'm dead serious. Sean, this is like Tucker's bullshit. If you can, then do it. Play clips. And don't just cite your own show and your own blather. Cite the evidence. You have access to it. You can do what I do. You can read the actual rulings. When they put out Don McGahn's testimony, you have access to it. Somebody in your staff can read it to you.
And your agenda. The difference, for example, between...
So where's Greg Kelly crying? Yes. And can you imagine being Greg Kelly? No wonder Greg Kelly's pissed. He's second banana Sean Hannity. Well, fifth banana. Bruised banana. But you know what I mean.
Me and you, it's simple, but yet it's kind of profound.
Yes, simple and profound. Like Hannity's weird Superman-shaped logo with 5 stars on it, like he's, I guess, a Ramada Inn in Tulsa. And I guess that's your last name?
I'm honest about who I am.
Yes, you're a chump and a weirdo, and you're fixated. You're as fixated on Donald Trump as you believe Maggie Haberman to be.
I am a member of the press. I'm a talk show host. We do, and I could produce thousands of hours of straight news, thousands of hours of investigative reporting that you're too lazy to do.
Yeah, and he's talking to his audience right now. By the way.
I give my opinion. I'm upfront about my conservative political beliefs.
What conservative political beliefs? I mean, you're obviously not a one marriage kind of a guy anymore. You hang around with Donald Trump. He's a philanderer and a sexist and certainly not a Christian. Doesn't even know what side of the Bible is the top.
I do sports. We do culture.
I do sports.
I'm like the entire newspaper. You say you're a...
Yes, you are the entire newspaper. If it was 80% Lonely Hearts Classifieds. Thanks, Diana.
Journalist. You're not journalists. And
no, you're not.
Tonight, by the way, we'll start with the New York Times because I'm calling on Ben Smith.
Why is it? I have a question. As a member of the, as a press barnacle, as a comedy barnacle on the whale of the media, I have a question. Why, if indeed your, I suppose, op-ed, or maybe it's just a headline and somebody else wrote the one paragraph about it, Hannity demands answers from Maggie, Ben, and New York Times. Why are you using the torn out paper logo when it's on foxnews.com? I'm just concerned that if your website can be torn, it can also get wet. And I just don't want you to spill coffee on your website and have it destroy the rest of the internet. You know, because when you show the New York Times or Vanity Fair, there are paper versions of those things. These are indeed newspapers and magazines you're talking about. Foxnews.com is not. So I don't know why the sort of ransom note edging. Oh, I know why. Fiverr.
Maggie Haberman,
whatever. Just it.
And other so-called journalists at the Times. Just start being honest about who you are and what you believe.
You mean let you assign labels to them based on what you need them to be?
And that you have an agenda. And maybe you can start answering the questions that I posed today in an op-ed on foxnews.com.
Yes, I tore it out and it tore right through it.
Brings us to another.
Thank you, Mariah.
Big difference between me and them. And we tell the truth.
Yes, collusion truthers.
Truth. They spread lies and conspiracy theories about Trump and Russia and collusion, things that never happen.
Oh, yeah? Like what part? Like what? You got a whole graphic right there. Show something they brought up that was wrong. That turned out not to be true.
We expose deep state, abuse of power, and corruption.
Yeah, show that. Pop that up there. Like this, and this, and this. You've been on the air for fucking how long? How can you not... seriously, how many times, guys, when I've been doing this show, has something come up from a video I have just seen, and I go over and I can find 3 different sources to pull up, even like just the Powell thing about inflation. It's right there. I can source that up right next to me and pop it into this window just by... And I don't have a whole goddamn staff. I'm not paid $36 million a year or whatever it is by Fox News to work 1 hour a day while vaping in the breaks. Sean, beyond being a blithering idiot and a liar and being too dumb to actually handle the issues put in front of you, you, my dear friend who formerly of our gang, the grown-up Spanky in a suit, you, sir, are lazy. There, I said it. I mean, dumb's one thing. It's a terrible way to go through life. I don't envy you. But even above and beyond that, you are lazy. Everything else you do for sport or whatever in your life does not count as valuable activity. It is a distraction from the fact that in your primary job, you are lazy and stupid. And I understand why you don't really have that many guests on anymore, because you can't even handle conversations with other people without getting lost. But I have to break it to you. Your biggest weakness is just the fact that you're weak. It's tiresome.
And even they now cling to lies that have been proven false over and
Put one up.
over again.
Go for it.
Does the New York Times now acknowledge that Christopher Steele's dossier, bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, was filled with Russian disinformation? Will you?
No. That is an assertion you're making. Pop it up there. Pick a line from the dossier and tell us which part is fake. Which part is Russian disinfo?
Will you admit the truth finally? Do you still believe?
What truth? Again, he's got half a fucking screen there.
Did you ever really believe in the Trump-Russia collusion hoax?
Well, no, they didn't believe it's a hoax, if that's what you mean.
Or were you just advancing a political agenda from day one?
Well, no, that's what you're doing. You're defending Donald Trump regardless of reality. Oh, Templeton, thank you so much. Visiting in real life friends in Connecticut for the first time since the pandemic this weekend. That's so awesome. So I'm dropping into the tip jar ahead of time. Thank you. Thanks for everything, Hal. Thank you, Templeton. I'm so glad you get to hang out with people. I'm taking my son to his second cousin's graduation party. We're having family together and stuff in Cleveland, and Trump is actually having a rally in Cleveland. I kind of need to borrow a car and drive over to the thing. Might be crazy. We'll see.
Will you ever investigate the millions of dollars that Joe Biden's son, zero experience Hunter, made by selling access to daddy?
We didn't. Done. You're welcome. How did you sell access to him? What was the access? Where was the payoff? Where was the quid pro quo? Where'd the quo happen? If you're saying the quid led to the quo, what was the quo? Because there wasn't one. And you could put it up there. It's way easier to put up some sort of like Riddler graphic from Fiverr and put "Where's Hunter," even though Hunter just put out a book and did interviews. And I don't know how much more. And by the way, didn't we start this off with obsession about someone who's not in office? All right.
How would you cover it if it was Donald Trump's sons?
Well, if it was Donald Trump's sons, what they would do is they would play video of Eric saying, or an interviewer who talked to Eric saying they get most of their money from Russia, or you play the footage of Eric talking about the business dealings that they're developing in China, for example. You just play the video because it exists. But you wouldn't. You never would. It's one thing to tell people to go find evidence that you think exists that doesn't, and then question why they aren't showing stuff that doesn't exist that you insist does, but you won't show or can't show. And it's another thing entirely, Sean, to know that the footage and the interviews exist where Don Jr. and Eric both are bragging about the money they get from Russia and China and not showing it. That would be the bias by omission.
Will the Times or the rest of the media ever cover Biden, his family, with the same tenacity that they covered the Trumps?
Well, they don't have to. They have his tax returns, for example. They can compare it to his holdings and his financial statements and then it all lines up. He doesn't have like a secret bank account in China, for example, like Trump did, where there was $2 million in it. Suddenly there was $17 million in it, and then $15 million was taken out during the presidency by Donald Trump. Like that's true. That exists. That's real. That happened. And then, so there's no equivalent that you can show, nor have you ever brought anyone on who, more than Rudy Giuliani, who alleges that it must have been access. That must have happened. You have material evidence of Don Jr. and Eric bragging about Russian and Chinese money and Russian and Chinese deals, while he said they don't have any Russian deals at all. And you're like, you're not playing that footage, Sean. You're not playing that footage. But you'll have Rudy Giuliani on a bunch to insist that it must be that influence was peddled, even though apparently these are checks that have yet to be cashed. Biden's waiting to spend the money when he's 90.
Family or the feelings of their far left readers are more important. Will Maggie Haberman, will Ben Smith, will their colleagues acknowledge
this is for Trump, by the way. This is the audience of one thing.
that their deceptive coverage of Trump and Russia and phony collusion for 3 years, that makes them unworthy of the Pulitzer Prizes they got? Do they?
Well, no, because they stand by their reporting, and they're not going to just, you know what, Sean Hannity called me out, man. I mean, he didn't do it with any evidence or anything. He just kind of was blathering in the opening of his show because he's slipping in the ratings, and he's hoping fear and anger will gin up more of an audience for him and make him like that. It gives him this artificial frosting of manliness that he's begging his audience to believe he actually has. So I'm just going to hand this back.
Do they plan on returning it? Do they not understand they didn't deserve it? The reporters at the Times got the biggest story in their lifetime wrong.
No, they got it right. No, they stand by what they said, and still true.
Dead wrong.
No, dead right. No, pretty much. See, I can do the same thing you can do. I'll just reverse whatever he says, and how easy is that? Got my own Hannity show now. Cool.
This show got it right.
Did it? Really? Well, apparently getting it right helped Donald Trump lose office, so congratulations.
There was no Trump-Russia collusion. The
yeah, there was.
dirty dossier that they say was truthful was Russian disinformation all along.
No, it wasn't, actually. I mean, I know you want it to be, because as it comes out that there was more Russian disinfo that's being pushed by the Ron Johnsons of the world, and therefore you as well, as a purveyor of it, you're having to push back against that because of the corner you painted yourself into. So you're trying to lay your problems off on the New York Times and your obsession with kind of transference onto them because of, the amount of lies you doled out over the last 4 years. It's got to be a rough one. I mean, I don't know how you look in a mirror without laughing.
They did the very thing that they were complaining Trump did, but didn't.
Did you get that right? That's a triple negative, just in case you're
wondering.
wondering.
Not only did they get it wrong, they got fake Pulitzer Prizes for the efforts.
No, those were real Pulitzers.
So Maggie Haberman, if you have any integrity, the New York Times, if you have any integrity, give them back.
Shazam. Yeah, shut it down, Sean.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
That was it? That's it? That's the whole thing? That's the best you got? Give back your Pulitzer? Seriously, this is something it's like he's reading from Trump's microblog. And by the way, that is the opening of his show. It's 10:20. That's it. That is the opening 10 minutes of Sean's show. That's what passes for programming. That's what he's selling. Think about that piece without my humorous interjections and my injections of facts. Imagine just watching that in its entirety, uninterrupted, and going, yeah, oh yeah. Because that's the mentality you would have to absorb Sean Hannity in his purest form. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Anyway, so that's just Sean between vapes. All right. So I since he brought him up, Greg Kelly, who, the poor man's, is he the poor man's Sean Hannity? Because they're both poor men. I mean, they're rich, but they're, as men, poor in masculinity, I would just say. This is Eric Trump on Greg Kelly Reports, GK. That says 2022 will be a bloodbath for Democrats. For Democrats. So on our behalf, so Republicans are going to be, because you guys are eviscerating yourselves. So we'll basically, if I get Eric Trump right in this, and we'll see, we'll watch the video. I think maybe this is what he's saying, is that on the battlefield, Democrats will all be up on this hillside, and the Republicans will be on this hillside. And then somebody will go, oh, yeah, like Braveheart. And then the Republicans will stampede down on the field and then just start stabbing themselves and each other and shivving each other. And the Democrats are going, do we even bother to, do we help? Do we wait till they're done and call an ambulance? How's this work?
We're joined by Eric Trump, Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization, and of course, son of the former President of the United States. Eric, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
God, Greg, no one is that excited to see Eric Trump ever. You're going to confuse him and scare him off like Tiny Tim.
Hey, Greg.
I love that we're hearing so good. So we're going to be hearing Greg Kelly's echo from the mic on the other side. Oh, God.
It's great to be back. We're doing very well, my friend. We're doing very, very well.
Indeed.
Yeah, you absolutely are. You're doing very, very well now that your dad's out of government and you're facing multiple criminal charges.
I don't like the harassment that is still taking place, it seems.
Oh, no. They're doing very well except for the harassment, of course.
Teams of your dad and, people, Cy Vance snooping around.
Yeah, snooping. That's what they're doing. They're snooping.
Is everything settled? What's the score right now?
Yeah, everything's settled. Yeah, those lawsuits and the criminal charges, that's over. That was never going anywhere anyway.
Yeah, well, listen, the score is the same as it's been for the last, 5 years, frankly. They'll do anything to try and disqualify my father. They know he's, the strongest political force, Greg, on this side of the aisle by far. There's never been anybody who's had the following of him.
He's coming in second to Ron DeSantis right now, who's a complete goober. But yeah, besides that,
never been anybody who's had the support of my father, and they'll do.
There's never been anybody that's had the support of your father? Oh, you mean like the children? I see.
Anything they can to try and take the guy down, and they did it with Russia, and they did it with Ukraine, and you saw how they went after his Supreme Court justices, and they tried to impeach him when he was out of office. And
by the way, his Supreme Court justices are the reason ACA is still standing right now, and so obviously there's a little pissed or whatever. And I'm glad they gave Eric the scissors. That doesn't seem dangerous.
These people will just never stop. They will never, ever stop. And
yeah, it's like cops when they're on a slow speed chase. Why don't they just give up? Just because the person in the car has money and a kidnapped child and a gun. You've been driving so long. Don't you feel like just call off the chase?
Every single day they come after our family. They subpoena our family. They attack our family with one goal in mind, and that's to disqualify and discredit and harass a political rival. And
disqualify and harass a political rival. Oh, so he can't run in 2024. Oh, we're still playing that game?
Greg, it's something that you would think you'd see in a third world country. I never thought that America would ever see that kind of behavior.
Yeah, in third world countries, it's terrible when a corrupt politician leaves office and they, normally in a third world country, they prosecute the former leader who, was engaged in criminal behaviors. They don't just let him slink off into his mansion and leave him alone to count his money. That's not a third world country kind of a thing.
Behavior and, but this is the game that the Democrats play. They weaponize legal systems every single day. And, the good news.
Yeah, they do. Pretty much. I mean, we're almost out. I mean, next we're going to have to weaponize the Cub Scouts. It's just exhausting.
We're really honest people. We've got absolutely nothing to hide from.
I'm sorry, what?
And, the good news is we're really honest people. We've got absolutely nothing to hide from. And frankly, they've been at it for 5.5 years.
Absolutely nothing to hide from. You mean absolutely nothing to hide? Because, I mean, you do have something to hide from, which is, of course, why your dad is hiding his taxes. I mean, isn't your brother avoiding a deposition right now?
5 years, right? If they had something, wouldn't they have done something about it already?
Hal, what did he dip his face in? I'm guessing Vaseline lard. Could it be?
But
it's probably the salad, the oil and vinegar at the omelet bar at Mar-a-Lago.
Again, this is the U.S. political system, and it's devolved in a major way, and it's just something.
Yes, it was. Yes, our legal system, because your father was elected, went in the shitter for a while. Obviously, we're on recovery right now.
Something that, we deal with every single day because we don't have a choice, and we just keep on fighting. And, Greg, we're going to win it again one of these days. I promise you that. We're going to win it again, and we're going to stop this nonsense.
Well,
win what again? What do you... I mean, I'm trying to make sense. If your dad running again? You mean you running again? You mean Laura being a senator or something? Win what again? You haven't even entered into the fight you're going to experience.
Well, Eric, you and your family have sacrificed so much. They were
so much. Oh gosh, they sacrificed so much. I mean, they used Secret Service funds and American taxpayer dollars to keep their golf courses afloat across the country repeatedly, and that kind of sacrifice.
They were harassing you while your father was president, before and now after, and I don't like it one bit. And by the way, they're often doing the other side what they accuse our side of doing.
Our side? Oh, Greg, are you a member of the Trump family now? Our side?
Here is Joe Biden making a pledge during the campaign.
No one in my family will have an office in the White House, will sit in meetings as if they're a cabinet member, will in fact have any business relationship with anyone that relates to a foreign corporation or a foreign country, period.
Okay, so October 2019, Joe Biden is not president yet.
Period. End of story.
When you've been around for 50 years in politics, you know the rules so well, you know how to get around them. And I want to point this out right now. The Biden administration has all kinds of people related to each other. Let's go through it.
Sorry, are they related to Joe Biden?
Steve Ricchetti, the White House counsel. He's got family members throughout the administration, all over the place. Jen Psaki, her sister, actually has a pretty big job in the administration as well. Senior advisor, Health and Human Services. And it goes on and on. Ron Klain and his wife. The deputy White House chief of staff, Bruce Reed, has a daughter in the administration.
Are any of these people related to Joe Biden?
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has several relatives all over the place. Again, it's not quite, like I said before, he knows the rules so well, he knows what he can get away with. Yes, what he can get away with, apparently, is sticking to what he said. Yes. Oh, yes, Hazard. Biden's daily scheduler is obviously a nepotism. They come from a long line of calendars.
So, Greg, let me ask maybe two questions. First of all, so it's okay for Hunter Biden to sit on Ukrainian energy boards, and it's okay for him to sell, arts and crafts paintings that he's doing in his basement for $500,000 to undisclosed purchasers around the world,
But nobody wants your finger painting. Nobody.
But that's
Eric looks like a sweaty Chucky doll. Ouch.
Not having a job in the administration. I'd say that's.
No, it's not. It's not having a job in the administration.
It's having a job in the administration. The other really.
I'm sorry. What?
$500,000 to undisclosed purchasers around the world, but that's not having a job in the administration. No,
that's not having a job in the administration.
That's having a job in the administration. The other really interesting thing is
How is that having a job in the administration? I'm serious.
I had 3 family members in the administration.
Yeah, you had, yes. So you had 3 family members in the administration.
My father, who was president, my sister, and Jared Kushner. And my sister and Jared Kushner and my father were also passionate about the actual cause at hand. You know what they did? They turned down their salary. And they were actually...
They made $148 million while they were in office. Turned down their salary.
Actually taxed on a salary that they didn't take because of income, right? Because it's effectively a donation back to the government. They gave up every single penny of their salary, and they did amazing things. What my sister did for women's rights in the country was unbelievable.
Yeah, women, I don't know if you realize, but the ERA is already passed. You don't have problems. And child tax credit that obviously was passed, because Democrats put it in the COVID bill. But that it didn't go until your dad was out of office. But still.
What she did for, paid family leave was incredible. What Jared did in terms of creating, peace in the Middle East and negotiating.
Yeah, he totally created peace in the Middle East. I mean, obviously, nobody told the Israelis and the Palestinians, but I mean.
Negotiating peace in the Middle East, how hard he worked on that project and so much other.
Yeah, just from the rest of us, maybe don't work so hard next time. Maybe work smart. I don't know. It seems like an intellectual problem, not one that requires a lot of wincing.
Great stuff. And guess what? They made absolutely zero from that. I want to go see what all...
I'm sorry? So wait a minute. You can't profitize world peace? What kind of racket? Hold on. Let's see. Ivanka and Jared made money, White House, something like that. Let's see. They gave up. Is that what we're talking about, Eric? They gave up their salaries. Their salaries. They gave up. So they gave up their salary. While they were in the White House. Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump reported between $172 million and $640 million in outside income while working in the White House. According to an analysis of financial disclosures by Crew, it is impossible to tell the exact amount as the income is sometimes reported in broad ranges and cover 4 months of income before Ivanka officially joined her father's administration and nearly 1 month before Jared Kushner joined. Both Kushner and Trump announced they would not take a salary while working for the government in an attempt to shut down nepotism concerns. While their supporters marked this as a public sacrifice, the massive amount of money they made on the side undercuts that argument, as government salaries would have been less than 1% of their income. But please, the sacrifices, they had to pay taxes on that less than 1% of their income.
All those people that you just mentioned a second ago, I want to see how much money they make. What are their salaries? Are any of them foregoing their salaries?
Well, no. Because they don't make anything outside. They're not making $140 to $640 million using their position to make other money. That's what they live on. They eat that. They buy the toilet paper that they shit out the food that they eat that they paid for with their salary while they were there.
Is Joe Biden, is a president of the United States like my father did, is he foregoing his salary? I don't think so. They never have. They've been grifters on this government for their entire lives.
I'm sorry. Did your dad, how much did your dad charge the Secret Service to protect him? What was the, let's see, Trump charges Secret Service. Let's just look that one up, just to baseline, see what this is. Let's see. So he sacrificed. He gave. Trump's businesses charged Secret Service more than $1.1 million, including for rooms in club shuttered for pandemic. President Trump's luxury properties have charged the U.S. government more than $1.1 million in private transactions since Trump took office, including for room rentals at his Bedminster, New Jersey club this spring while it was closed for the coronavirus pandemic, new documents show. The documents, including receipts and invoices from Trump's businesses, were released by the Secret Service after the Washington Post filed a public records lawsuit. They added $188,000 in previously unknown charges to the Post's running total of payments to Trump's properties related to the presence of Secret Service agents. In Bedminster this spring, the records show, Trump's club charged the Secret Service more than $21,800 to rent a cottage and other rooms while the club was closed and otherwise off limits to guests. The documents don't give a reason for these rentals. Trump didn't visit the club while it was closed, but his eldest daughter, Ivanka Trump, and her family reportedly visited at least once. The family visited the club in April to celebrate Passover, a period that overlaps several of the largest Secret Service charges. At the time, both the District of Columbia, where Ivanka Trump lives, and New Jersey had imposed stay-at-home orders, telling residents to avoid travel except under limited circumstances. A spokeswoman for Ivanka Trump declined to comment. The Passover visit was first reported by the New York Times. The Secret Service does not appear to have violated any New Jersey virus restrictions by renting the rooms or visiting Bedminster. Restrictions by New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy explicitly exempted federal employees. The receipts and invoices shed new light on the unprecedented relationship Trump has with his own government, where Trump's presidential travel brings a stream of public money. Room rentals, resort fees, and furniture removal, how Trump's company charged the U.S. government more than $900,000. That's from August 27, 2020. Secret Service had asked for a room close to the president, but Mar-a-Lago said it was too late. The room was booked. Would agents like a room across the street from the president instead? I do have a beach cabana available, a staff member at the President's Club in Palm Beach, Florida, wrote in March 2017 to a Secret Service agent seeking rooms for the upcoming weekend across the street at the beach club, north end of the pool. The next time, Secret Service didn't take the same risk. It paid Mar-a-Lago to book rooms for 2 weeks at a time, locking them up before the club could rent them to others, according to newly released records and emails. For Trump's club, it appeared, saying no to the Secret Service had made it a better customer. The agency was paying for rooms on nights when Trump wasn't even visiting. Yeah. So, just, but they sacrificed $900,000 a year in just Secret Service, not to mention that, his plane doesn't even work anymore. That I know of, because we flew him everywhere and flew his family everywhere. That, holy smokes.
Joe Biden has never had an actual job. Neither has his son, other than...
Well, I mean, public service is an actual job. And I think that's more indicative that you think that anybody who serves in the House or the Senate or becomes vice president, that's not an actual job. So we'll tell Mike Pence that he never had an actual job, and as a governor and as vice president, those weren't actual jobs. And go tell Matt Gaetz he doesn't, to get an actual job. His dad's a public servant. He didn't have an actual job.
Frankly, selling access to the United States government. And it's disgusting. And, my sister never did it. She never took a penny, and she was incredibly effective. And you know what?
At what?
I wish we actually had effective people like Ivanka and Jared within this White House. Something might...
Yeah, well, he does mean that, by the way. Effective at funneling money to the family. So, obviously, that gravy train is dried up.
Actually get done, because when you look at their policies, they are destroying this country every single day.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look behind you. It's all on fire. I mean, never mind that I guess there's steam coming out of that functioning factory and the lights are on that bridge and stuff. But obviously the infrastructure's collapsed. And those buildings behind Greg Kelly those aren't lights on with people working at night. Those buildings are, that's a nuclear accident that's happening. They've totally Chernobyl.
And it wasn't a secret, of course. Jared and your sister, we saw them.
What's her name?
Every day. It was understood. And there they were. And you mentioned the buck a year salary. And let's talk about Hunter Biden. Nobody thinks he's a real painter, but this does seem to be a scam, according to, by the way, the Obama administration's chief ethicist. There's a guy named Walter Schaub. He's kind of big.
Well, but I'm no art judge. I couldn't tell.
On Twitter. And he reported this: let's let foreign governments or anyone else funnel hundreds of thousands of dollars anonymously to POTUS's relatives through subjectively priced commodities.
Thank you, Robert.
Like hotel charges, real estate purchases, and art. Oh, wait. Art is completely different. You see what he's getting at here.
Yeah, so hotel charges and real estate purchases and art. So it's okay for foreign entities to funnel money to Trump by buying out entire floors of his properties. But the art, which has to obviously either sell for more later or justify it, that'll be part of it. We'll see. We'll see. I can't tell you how Art's going to stand up.
So this is a real issue.
There's a real problem that he's making a living, that he's not having to go work for a foreign government because it's just getting funded by people buying his art. Do you have any George Bush dog paintings we need to see?
Well, listen, what's the latest on 2024?
Yeah, tell us what's the latest on something that isn't going to happen.
Where's his heart right now? What can you tell us? There are a lot.
His heart is just to the left of his sternum. You'll recognize it. It's the thing that's covered in cholesterol.
A lot of people who want him back, but I would imagine,
Do they?
imagine he's taking it. He wants to wait and see.
Yeah, keep imagining, Greg.
Yeah, well, Greg, a lot of people want him back, to say the least.
Yes, that would be saying the least.
There's half this country right now that feels like they don't have a spokesperson. They have no voice. You've got another
Well, that's emotional weakness on their part, isn't it?
major amount of the country who thinks that they made a terrible mistake electing this guy. There's a lot of questions on that, but a lot of
Are there a lot of questions?
people are saying we made a major mistake. You see what's happening to fuel prices. You see what's happening to commodity prices. You see what's
Which commodity? You mean like lumber?
happening with inflation.
Hold on. Let me see real quick. I mean, I did that one. That one's easy. Let's see. Commodities pricing. Let's see. News. What is happening to commodities? What could be happening with commodities right now? Commodities from copper to corn tumble on China crackdown, rising dollar. Prices of commodities were falling sharply on Thursday, cutting into months of gains and weighing on equity markets as China takes steps to cool off rising prices and the U.S. dollar strengthens. This is CNBC, clearly a left-wing socialist communist organization. The decline in commodities was widespread, with futures prices for palladium and platinum falling more than 11% and 7% respectively, along with declines of nearly 6% for corn futures and 4.8% for contracts tied to copper. Oil prices were also down more than 1%. Thursday's move continued a slide that began earlier in the week, thanks in part to actions by Chinese regulators. Crude oil. Brent crude oil is static. Henry Hub natural gas, that's down 2 points, 2.2. Yes, good time to buy palladium, true. I guess, I don't know. Silver, platinum, they're down 8%. Copper's down 7%. Oh, gold's 5.7%. This is all the preppers are all freaking out. That's what this is. Cocoa's down 1%. I mean, where are the dukes when you need them? It was the dukes. Oh, look, lumber, 9.8% down. Look at all the commodities just falling off. Hey, but feeder cattle's up 4.6%. Live cattle's up 2.5%. And that's because, of course, herd cullings that happened. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate that. What a taters. So what was the commodities? Okay, this dude's got. The commodities are so poor. This guy's actually taking back the copper tubing he stole from the neighborhood. I'm kidding. This is just like it's not even worth it anymore. Yes, hand sanitizers through the roof though. Commodities. What else?
Around the world, you see what's happening with Putin literally hacking our.
Hold on. Wait.
People are saying we made a major mistake. You see what's happening to fuel prices. You see what's happening to commodity prices.
Okay, so fuel prices. So oil's down a barrel. Let's see. Fuel prices. News. Oh, this is depressing. Solar increasingly beating even cheapest fossil fuels on price. June 23rd, 2021. This is a new hope for American solar. U.S. manufacturers laud tax credit proposals. Let's see. The amount of renewable energy that came in cheaper than most competitive fossil fuel option doubled last year, according to new analysis from the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA. Come on, IRENA. In total, 62% of renewable power added last year was developed at a price lower than the cheapest fossil fuels. Driven by the falling cost of renewable technologies, the renewable power generation cost in 2020 report said solar PV costs dropped a further 7% last year. Today, renewables are the cheapest source of power. All right, so fuel prices. So technically, I guess fuel, well, I guess it isn't the price of fuel isn't dropping fast enough to compete with the ever-dropping price of solar.
Prices, you see what's happening.
Cattle prices are up. How we sold 500 at the sale barn today. Wow. Yes, I've heard that, and it's largely because of the low stock.
With inflation around the world.
Around the world.
You see what's happening with.
Sorry. We're responsible for inflation around the world. Hi, dum-dum. Listen, if you're trying to undercut the Biden administration by saying their policies have caused something, stick to the shit they can actually control. If inflation is happening worldwide, which it is slightly, that's due to the fact that the pandemic was worldwide and there are supply issues and people getting back to work. And so a narrowly threaded, series of items are only going to people who currently have money, or the jobs are there to present that item to market in a way that people can get enough of it. So the prices, it's obviously, if it's lower than that, then this is just dumb. I don't know who I'm talking to, Mr. SATs.
Putin literally hacking our countries, the lack.
Yeah, Putin did not hack our country. Putin can't operate an iPad without help. Putin did not literally hack our country.
Of respect, you see.
Yeah, that's right. So when Russia was hacking our all the ransomware attacks that happened during your dad, that was also a sign of respect? Was that a sign of lack of respect?
What's happening, the mess that's the southern border, millions of people coming over.
Millions of people, let's see, are millions crossing the southern border. That's a good judge, huh? Let's see. Kind of record 2 million migrants on the southern border. Government estimates show the U.S. is on track to encounter more than 2 million migrants on the U.S.-Mexico border. Let's see. Marking a record high. The projections could be subject to change in the event of policy modifications. The changes in Latin America, the U.S. Border Patrol encounters, but combined data based on preliminary reports illustrates the continued challenge for so not so far. Data reviewed by CNN shows that up to 1.1 million single adults are expected through September. So not now, not at this point. Millions aren't crossing. 1.1 million by September, along with up to around 828,000 families and more than 200,000 unaccompanied children. That's the averaging based on what happened during the peak. Border Patrol encounters are expected to continue to rise month by month, according to projections, which can vary. The last time border apprehensions surpassed 1 million, it was fiscal year 2006. According to publicly available data from Customs and Border Patrol, projections of Border Patrol arrests also climbed during the 2019 border crisis, but fell short of 900,000. So they may have crossed, but they got through in 2019. How do we know we're getting these people? Because we're catching them crossing the border. Tuesday, the agency expects to encounter more than 1 million migrants this fiscal year. So they'll encounter them. So they're not all just getting in. All right. So they get sent home? That's what happens? All right. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas also warned of an uptick in mid-March, saying we are on pace to encounter more individuals on the southwest border than we have in the last 20 years. We are expelling most single adults and families. We are not expelling unaccompanied children. Because you don't dump kids in the desert, it seems like the pro-life thing to do. Thank you, Francie. Thank you guys for the super chats today. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, bits and stuff on Twitch are the way to support the show there. And you can, of course, subscribe, or you can gift a subscription if you're already a subscriber. And if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can subscribe on Twitch for free and all that stuff, and also end on with the show.
The southern border, crime is spiking all throughout the country, and I could go on and on.
Yeah, that's true. Crime has been spiking for the last year. Obviously, the Biden administration hasn't had any policy that's been implemented that's caused that spike in violence. So, leftover mess they have to clean up from your dad is what it looks like. Looks like they're trying to do it too. Biden came out today with more money for law enforcement. There goes that whole defund the police talking point, I guess.
And, you have a lot of people out there who say, you know what, I really miss
Thank you, Ninka Crinkles.
Trump. I might not have liked every single tweet he sent, but the guy was incredibly effective. We had the best economy, and we had
No, he didn't.
the lowest unemployment. I mean,
No, he didn't.
you have businesses, Greg, all over this country. They can't even open up because they can't get employees because of these ridiculous stimulus packages.
Yeah, these people are holding out to go back to the job they actually had and not just taking a job flipping burgers because they can't live off that. And then, of course, a lot of people are actually starting new businesses because they have the time to do it, which may lead to a boom in the American economy, which would scare the shit out of you guys in 2024.
And there's a lot of people that are missing.
We don't want to give law enforcement more money, Hal? Yes, we do. Yeah, we do. Yeah. We want more for training. We want more officers. When you have fewer officers and they're in more desperate situations, more bad things happen. 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds in the United States, someone is arrested. Every 3 seconds. There are 17,895. I have to look it up. Maybe 58. How many police departments are there? How many police departments in America? 985. Oh, so close. 17,985 police departments, agencies in the United States, which are county sheriff offices, state, all that kind of stuff. 17,985. Somebody gets arrested every 3 seconds. Think about the interaction level of bad cops that you experience and understand that for all 8 minutes of the George Floyd tape, every 3 seconds of that, someone else was getting arrested somewhere else and they went to jail and they were prosecuted and they were either found innocent or whatever, or put in jail. Sorry. We do not live in an incarceration society. We don't. Sorry. I mean, go look at the statistics of who's in there. Ever since pot's become legalized, the number of people on nonviolent drug offenses has gone down. You can anecdotally cite, like Arizona counties and stuff where the tough on crime assholes are there, but nationwide, it's not like that. Sorry. Cops do need more money. They don't need more military equipment. It's demilitarize the police, not defund the police. There's no reason why cops need tanks. They don't need leftover military equipment, and they don't need the budget to pay for the upkeep of military equipment. They need personnel. Just saying. I love you guys, but this talking point is so tired and weird, and the right wing has been able to hijack this thing for so long, and it's nonsense. And believe me, at no point are we going to be looking for criminal justice reform so that this asshole and his brother-in-law and his brother and his dad can get out of jail. No one's trying to spring the Weinsteins of the world. Forget it. The entire drug world is a failure and a mistake? No. Not the entirety of it. How it was carried out. Sorry. It doesn't work that way. Look at the opioid epidemic. They've effectively declared they waved the white flag of the drug war in those areas. And it's really just to clear out the people that the undesirables. Just let them OD, and we'll pick it up later.
Are missing Trump, and I think every single day that Biden messes up our nation, I think it further incentivizes my father, and frankly, our entire family.
Yeah, okay, so you're going to run now.
Again,
to do it again. Do what again? Kill 600,000 Americans?
I've told you this offline. I think 2022 is going to be an absolute bloodbath for the Democrats. I mean, I think we're absolutely going to do incredibly well.
Uh-huh.
I think 2024 is going to surprise everybody, and
yes, it will, because it's especially going to surprise you and your dad and the entire family, because more than likely that's when you'll have to report, to either get your ankle monitor or actually show up to prison.
And listen, he's making it easy. This guy is making it easy with his incompetence, and we're going to.
Well, obviously, you've only been capable of doing things that are easy your entire life, so I can understand why that looks exciting to you. But in reality, sorry, it's not. Your dad failed miserably, and it's over. It's over. It's so over. It's wonderfully over.
We're gonna walk through that door. I'm telling you, we're gonna walk through that door.
I'm glad.
Yeah, just tell them we're gonna walk through. Guys, we're gonna walk through that door. We're gonna walk through that door. We're just gonna keep on walking. That's what I'm gonna tell you. We're gonna walk through that door. That door, when we come to it, we're gonna cross that walk when we door through that thing when we do it.
Glad because the door is open at 20.
I mean, it's not even like you have to do the thing of opening the door. I am standing here holding this door like a dickhead for 4 years. He better walk through it. Man, I got all.
2022 and 2024.
The door. It's a big door and it's very open, Greg.
Yes, indeed.
It's so open. Thanks. What the hell are you talking about? I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Well, Eric Trump, executive vice president of the Trump Organization, also husband of Laura. Give her our best and all those kids as well, and your dad.
He can't give her his best. Sorry.
Well, to be continued. Many thanks, Eric Trump.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I think we all grew. That's amazing. By the way, in terms of the opioid epidemic, the DEA was originally formed to stop doctors over-prescribing morphine. And they got busy chasing what would be, purer narcotics in terms of heroin specifically, also created by the Bayer aspirin company. They created heroin as one of the original opioids, and it was specifically, it was named for its heroic effects on pain, right? Heroin was the original OxyContin, right? And it's been around ever since. The weed being a Class A drug was the essential major flaw, and always has been in terms of the war on drugs. The reality, though, is that 60% of the people who are in jail for murder were drunk at the time. Yeah, they were on a very legal drug. So curtailing how many people get that, and when people become grievously overserved and all that kind of stuff, all the stuff that communities have tried to do over the years about like drawing back the amount of alcohol you have access to or stored up at your house, never really kind of works out. So it's always been a problem, and people get drunk and shoot each other. And that's it's Western bars. So where are you going to go? But the reality is that OxyContin and heroin are both the fault of the pain management aspect of the pharmaceutical industry. And the DEA's prime directive originally was to do this, was to stop doctors from over-prescribing morphine and then giving out heroin and obviously cocaine for your gums and shit like that. That part they totally left behind, chasing down things like ecstasy and other drugs, and specifically pot, which you can't OD on unless it's laced with something, and that's another problem. And what's happened is that OxyContin and heroin mixed with fentanyl are just wiping out an entire generation of users in this country. And for all of our talk and our desire to get people help so that they can heal, a lot of them are dying before they ever get a chance, or go through it a couple of times. All they do is screw up once. They buy from a dealer they don't normally buy from. It's the drug they're used to taking, that they have a system where they can kind of balance themselves because they have to do it in shame and in secret. They end up taking, they end up getting heroin or another drug laced with, or oxy or some fake oxy mixed with fentanyl, and they die. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman, dozens of, Heath Ledger, the East Coast people, it was a killing field of people who thought they were doing heroin the way they normally do heroin, and it was laced with fentanyl and it killed them. The DEA's job was to keep that stuff out, and they didn't. They just stopped. They just kind of, and because when we think of drug cartels in this country, we think of Mexican drug cartels and Southern drug cartels, and then gangs up here that sell and distribute. When in reality, the Sacklers have a higher death toll. As the company that sold Purdue Pharmaceutical that was dumping 800,000 pills a year into a city with 10,000 people in it through Walmart pharmacies and shit, and being proud that they were dumping that stuff. Their death rate is way higher. El Chapo doesn't hold a candle to the Sacklers. So, yeah. I remember when they used to say he was addicted to painkillers. Like, no. You notice nobody's ever addicted to pain relievers? Just the killers. Maybe if you're taking a drug with killer in the title, it might be part of the problem.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty.
Oh, I don't care, Rob. All right, so real quick, I want to jump to this. There's my cursor. I lost it. So Newsmax can't get enough of complete and utter scumbags to have on and talk to. And so obviously, as they're, scooping around the bottom of the bucket, they found Roger Stone.
Trump and recipient of his presidential pardon, Roger Stone, was seen in a new video talking with protesters in Washington.
Oh, this is just a video they're playing of it? Roger Stone accused of encouraging January 6 protesters after video surfaces.
A day before the Capitol Hill riots. Watch.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much. So hopefully we have this today, right?
We shall see.
We shall see. We're hoping so.
This is my Jewish brother. Excellent.
Well, here you see Stone simply talking with Trump supporters.
Yeah, it's just a simple Trump supporter who later will beat a cop with a flagpole with a Blue Lives Matter flag.
However,
on.
the feds say that this video shows Stone inciting the other protesters and
No, they don't. No one says that that's him inciting the other protesters. This is the part where he was coordinating with them beforehand. Dum-dum. Sorry, lady. Good Lord. I don't know why they have such a hard time with this.
and encouraging them. But is that really the case? Joining us.
Well, no, because you made it up. What it shows is that he was hanging out with the Proud Boys and was he was organizing what later became the same thing that Alex Jones was talking about, which was that they were 30 minutes before the speech ended, they would be led up to the Capitol and then Trump would meet them up there.
Joining us now to share his side of the story is former Trump campaign advisor himself, Roger Stone, and it's a privilege and a pleasure.
Who's so stupid he doesn't even know to flip his camera on whatever Zoom software he's using. No one has a pocket kerchief in the right side even in their biggest zoot suit, and the words are backwards on his. Why do I have to show everyone how to do everything?
Pleasure to have you with us, Roger. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Of course, unfortunately, that's not a new video. It has been out in public since February 20th, and it proves absolutely nothing.
Well, no, it doesn't prove it. It shows that you were with those people, and then it kind of cuts against your previous statements, which turn out to be a lie. But don't worry, the Newsmax kids are there to protect you, Roger Stone, and they love your personality, they love your lifestyle, they love your honesty, they love your drug habits, they love the people you hang out with. I mean, what's not to like?
A columnist from the LA Times claims that there is a federal investigation into me based on that video.
No, that's part of the investigation. That would be part of the evidence. They didn't start investigating you based on that. It's your ties to the president and the coordination. That's the people they're interviewing are saying they talked to you, and they talked to Trump, or they talked to Alex Jones, who says he talked to Trump, and that's what it's based on. They're not hinging. No law enforcement agency is hinging their entire case on a piece of posted video.
But ABC News reported there was a federal investigation into me and Alex Jones on the basis of our just being in Washington.
No one. They're not investigating people who happen to be in Washington. There are no open geography cases.
On February 20th. So this is recycled news.
On February 20th? Why would they give a shit if you were anywhere on February 20th?
You see, I've become clickbait for the left.
No. I mean, I've passed dozens of videos of you, Roger. I mean, I only did this one because I was this is more about Newsmax. I don't want to offend you. But I'm revolutionizing the online, Nick Combs online gun store? Revolution, oh yeah. Big Daddy intimidated. Big BDU, Big Daddy ultimate This is a gun. You're selling guns in front of a stack of wood Oh, he's downrange. What a stupid place to sit. Hey, asshole, you're at the wrong end of the range. Why are you in front of the stacked wood?
Let me state this as categorically as I can.
All right, state it as, read it from, it would be best. You know what, Roger, since you don't get to go on news programs as much anymore, and you're doing this to kind of cover your ass legally, you want your lawyer to be able to show this footage to go back. It's probably best to read the statement when you're in the categorical thing, that where your eyes are looking right here. If you have trouble with this, just ask Don Jr. He does the same shit.
Any claim, assertion, implication, or otherwise any accusation that I either knew about or was involved in any of the illegal acts in Washington, D.C. on January 6th is categorically false. There is no evidence to the contrary, and an honest investigation will prove that.
Okay, well, then you have nothing to worry about. I wouldn't worry about it. I think it's probably just going to be nothing. Now, since you were pardoned, and since you believe, and many of the people you were with believe, that Donald Trump had, magically farted out the Insurrection Act, or anything that the president says is therefore legal, we do have to take what you're saying with a grain of salt, in that you believe in the supreme executive power of the presidency, and therefore anything he asked you to do, whether it was illegal or in violation of the Constitution or not, you, in this setting, can legitimately say that you believe you weren't involved in any illegal acts because you believe that anything that Trump asked you to do is therefore legal, circa 1973 Nixon.
It is also not possible for any other person to claim otherwise without corroboration, because it is a lie.
Well, I mean, you have to say it's a lie, and obviously they're going to either have corroboration or you're just heading off attacks by other people.
I'm not sure how more specific I can be, but this is a classic.
I'll tell you, I know. Hey, guys, I know how he could be more specific. Show your text messages from that day. Any recorded message that you have on your phone, you could release those. Newsmax could play them. Any emails, DMs. There's a lot of ways you could be, clearer about it. Yeah.
Smear, and it is based on nothing, on a source of Mr. Littman. Who even knows if that source exists? I call it fake news.
Hey, Roger, did you?
Well, yeah, that's because that's a knee-jerk reaction, and you're on Newsmax.
On January 6th, did you go in the building?
I would never even left the grounds of the Willard Hotel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course not. No, nobody ever accused him of going in there. It was the crime here that they're talking about is foreknowledge of a crime that was going to be committed without, I guess, telling anyone, and then, of course, coordination to help make it happen, helping prepare the people for what they were going to do, coordinating groups, bringing groups together to carry out a coordinated attack on the Capitol, which would be a crime. I mean, you wouldn't have to, I'm just saying, to do that, you wouldn't have to leave the hotel. It wouldn't be part of the job description.
I came out in front of the hotel in the morning for a brief period to stretch my legs. You can watch the entire video. A number of patriots come up and ask for selfies or tell me that they're praying for me. But no, I was not even on the Capitol. I do find it odd that
Yes, no one has accused you of being on the Capitol.
After the president's speech, the Secret Service contacted someone who worked for me by phone and told me that they wanted to escort me to the Capitol. I declined.
What? Hang on. What?
Me that the service contacted. Odd that shortly after the president's speech, the Secret Service contacted someone who worked for me by phone and told me that they wanted to escort me to the Capitol.
Whoa. That's that would be shortly after the speech. Shortly after the speech. How shortly? Because that's kind of a big fucking deal. Timeline, January 6th. That's not good, dude. That's not. Let's see. So when did the speech end? Let's see. Crowds gather outside. Okay. So Trump, he gave a speech at noon. He started. Here we go. So noon. Trump begins his more than 1 hour speech, repeating false claims about a stolen election, telling the crowd to never give up and never concede. Noon, Trump supporters, some armed with guns and riot shields, gather in front of the Arkansas Capitol in Little Rock. Okay, that's different. 12:30, crowds from the... Okay, so halfway through, right when Alex Jones said they were going to, from the pro-Trump rally, gather outside the U.S. Capitol building. 1 o'clock, an initial wave of protesters storms the outer barricade. So that would be right after the speech. If the speech started at noon, was roughly an hour long, and according to Roger Stone, this is kind of a big deal. This is kind of fucking news. Run that by me again. Hold on.
Until the Secret Service contacted someone who worked for me by phone and told me that they wanted to escort me to the Capitol. I declined.
Yeah. Why would you not want to go to the Capitol at 1 o'clock? After he finished speech, 1:10 p.m. Trump ends his speech. Okay, so this would be after the speech. So what happened after that? 1:12, Republicans held by Gosar and stuff said, "Would you like to go there?" Maybe it was around 1:30. Hundreds rally in front of Michigan Capitol. Okay, that's different. 1:30 after Trump's speech, supporters began marching towards the Capitol. Right around then, maybe right after the speech, and 1:30 when I guess. Like Corey, I don't know who that is. Okay, so a crowd outside the building grows larger, eventually overtaking Capitol Police. So about 1:30, 1:35 during the debate, overturning the election would push democracy into a death spiral. There you go. There's a DNC shortly after 1:30. Okay, so somewhere, here you go. 2:15. Was it, Roger? Was it around 2:15? They wanted to escort you. Maybe they wanted to escort you when they were in there and people were putting on gas masks. Maybe it was when he tweeted, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth. 4 minutes later, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Stay peaceful, like they were being. 3:40, protesters gather outside the Louisiana Capitol. 4:13, Ashley Babbitt is killed. Asking everyone to U.S. Capitol remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you, which of course he didn't go on TV to say until 4:17 when he put the video out, which was pitiful.
Cut! Very nice. Why should your business go hybrid? IBM Watson on a hybrid cloud helps businesses use...
That's Robert Rodriguez. I thought in that video is because it's a little compressed on my end. I thought it was Corey Feldman.
AI to automate the little things so you can focus on making your next big hit. Action!
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody...
Our great people in law and order. I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't follow this man to the gates of hell.
Hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election.
I forgot how fucked up this was. This is while people are... This is... Ashley Babbitt's, it hasn't even gone into rigor mortis yet. There are still cops, with crushed ribs and spinal columns, and this ass. Listen to this asshole.
We can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Jesus Christ. You're very special. I know you're weak. I know you're weary. I know your plans don't include me. Yeah, 150 cops injured, right? And again, this was during. Shit is, I mean, they built a gallows. I know you're feeling bad, but Christ almighty. But, okay, so shortly thereafter, though, this is news, though. Roger Stone is making news right here, which is kind of amazing.
The Secret Service, I do find it odd that shortly after the president's speech, the Secret Service contacted someone who worked for me by phone and told me that they wanted to escort me to the Capitol. I declined.
What time was that? Was it before or after Ashley Babbitt was shot? Was it... How much of the gallows was up at that time? Seriously, this needs to be, I mean, in a January 6th commission, somebody needs to ask that question.
I was not.
What do you think that was about?
Yeah, what was that about?
When you say that, was there something about that sounded fishy?
Well, I've worked for 3 American presidents. The Secret Service does not do political chores. Mm-hmm. The Secret Service does not perform logistical tasks.
Yeah, but and first of all, was it really them? Or, I mean, I guess your people, they know who they're talking to. So Trump is directing the Secret Service or somebody in the Secret Service to contact Roger Stone and have him go up there?
I find it rather suspicious, to be honest with you.
Suspicious in what way? Do you believe that perhaps insiders, I'm trying to figure out how to word this within.
Yeah, how do you word this without absolutely calling out Trump as a hack and as a criminal?
The Secret Service or the CIA or other organizations.
What the fuck does the CIA have to do with this?
Were involved nefariously?
Look, I don't want to make that claim because I don't know it, but...
No, of course not. But don't let it stop her, though.
But understanding how the Secret Service works, obviously the implication is that this is something the president wanted.
Yeah, it kind of is. Holy shit.
I'm sorry, I declined. I was with Pastor Mark Burns and Reverend Randy Coggins in my suite watching.
Yeah, you were both oiled up. Nobody had any pants on. It was just the wrong time.
The whole thing unfold on television.
Mm-hmm. And my other question, just going back to the video itself, because...
No, fuck that. Who cares about the video? We've already addressed that. It's not the crux of the investigation, and it just shows that he was meeting. He had Proud Boys and in and amongst his bodyguards. What the fuck was the Secret Service calling him to go to the Capitol for, and what time was that? We need phone logs now. That is a big goddamn deal. That is, I mean, wrap your head around how enormous that is. That Trump had the Secret Service call Roger Stone's people to escort them to the Capitol while they were watching it unfold on television. I know, Lynette, this is huge news. This is enormous. Why is this just a shrug? And how is she moving on from this? What the hell? Has he ever mentioned this before? This is ridiculous. So, all right, during the same time period that Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed, a gallows was constructed on the lawn, a huge mass of people were screaming, "Hang Mike Pence." People were shitting in Nancy Pelosi's office and wiping it on the walls like they were Ted Nugent at a recruitment office. During that time, Trump, who's, I guess, presumably sitting in the White House in the Oval Office or somewhere with a bottle of Jergens and some tissue watching this unfold, has the Secret Service call Roger Stone's people to take him there to do what? I mean, this... this has to be part... I mean, now I want a January 6th commission just to answer that question. And he's just dumping this on... And okay, so there's an investigation into him. This lines up with that whole Rudy Giuliani, like, if Trump comes after me, I've got insurance. This sounds a lot like that. This sounds like Roger Stone is under investigation for the part he played in this, and is basically saying, as a warning to either Newsmax or to Trump himself or to the people that he views as being, Trump supporters in the DOJ or in the Congress, that if he's investigated, he's going to spill the beans on Trump, wanting him to go down and carry out some sort of political activity in the Capitol during this uprising. The date of this clip is yesterday. This is him saying this last night. Christ almighty. Well, I'm just saying, if Newsmax isn't going to break the news because it's their job to shovel it, basically Newsmax is the crawl space for Trump news. It's just where they bury the bones, right? So occasionally, in stumbling across this stuff, you can't help but friggin' notice. Yes, and Trump cannot pardon him this time, but Trump can't pardon himself. So he's protected. Yeah, Maddow. Yeah, I agree Maddow should cover this. We'll make a clip of this and send it to her. What? This is one piece of this I have never heard before.
Because I thought that this was video that had been released some time ago. Why do you think that it's being recycled at this point and being put out there and described as new video, something new?
Because people are noticing that the Proud Boys and the people that are being arrested now and are being charged currently are in the crowd of people that he's hanging out with that follow him in and out of the hotel, not just the people he's meeting on the street. Who gives a shit? Lady, nobody gives a goddamn. None of that matters. What matters is this asshole just said Trump had the Secret Service call him to go to the Capitol on January 6th while people were being killed, while a gallows was being built, while people were yelling for the hanging of Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi, and he wanted Roger Stone to go there with a Secret Service detail to carry out some mission on his behalf, or bring something to someone, or muscle them, or do some shit. I don't know that obviously if you were on the Capitol on January 6th, Roger Stone's the least of your worries. But was he just sending Roger Stone as like, I'll send you up there so you can watch because it's totally going to go our way. You get a ringside seat as we behead Mike Pence. Good Lord.
Is the bloodlust of the left. Look,
with the bloodlust of the left, asshole, I wouldn't have gone to the January 6th insurrection either.
President Trump, based on the fact that I did not receive a fair trial, that I had both a biased judge, an epically corrupt jury forewoman who attacked me on Twitter and Facebook in 2019, and specifically regarding the case in which she had been selected as a juror, and a rigged juror, and that then on election night 2020, the Department of Justice was forced to admit in a midnight release that Mueller had no evidence whatsoever tying me to Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or John Podesta's Fakakta emails. You didn't read that anywhere, by the way, did you? There's no there there. So the hatred, the tsunami of bloodlust on Twitter, for example, is overwhelming. I don't read it because...
Roger, you were pardoned of the counts you were convicted of, pardoned by the president.
Yeah, but these are new. What about the part where after he pardoned you or during the process of pardoning you, did he pardon you after or before he sent you to attack the Capitol?
So we'll let that go for another conversation because we've had many conversations about that previously. We've got to go, but before we do, we wanted to ask you about your wife. We know that she's had some health issues and wanted to give you a chance to bring us up to date and see how things.
Thank you, Foozle Bean. Who's a reporter now, Hannity? Seriously.
Things are going.
Yeah, I appreciate that. My wife very suddenly has been diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma, which has spread to her lungs. Since the Mueller investigation virtually bankrupted us, folks who want to help us can go to stonefamilyfund.com. But she's in excellent spirits. She's in the hands of God. She is going to fight this both medicinally and spiritually. And I want to thank all the millions of people around the globe who are praying for me and our family and for her.
Well,
I wish her no ill will, and it's sad when anybody finds himself on the receiving end of that. But great job, Newsmax, in totally distracting from the fact that he just broke news on your program that broke your former president.
We wish you the best. We wish for the best outcome. So thank you for talking with us today, Roger.
Yeah. And our prayers go out to her and you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, all right. Wow. So when did Trump, which Secret Service agent is going to testify that, and are they going to try to some sort of executive privilege thing since they're not supposed to be doing that job anyways? What Secret Service agent was told by Trump to contact Roger Stone and take him to the Capitol? And what time of the day did that happen? Good Lord. Okay, we're almost out of time. Oh, we are out of time. But I got to do some of this. I have to. I have to. I have to. I mean, come on. Flashpoint NRB special. I don't know what NRB sounds like. National Religious Bureau special. Whatever. Will the American church wake up? With Hanky Cooney and Gene the Jesus Machine and our old friend Mike Pillow. Whew.
Coming to you live from Grapevine, Texas. This is the National Religious Broadcasters State.
Oh, the National Religious Broadcasters Network. I see.
Stay tuned because tonight's Flashpoint is going to be unlike anything you've ever seen. All right, are you ready? Because Flashpoint starts now.
I almost was excited by that, Gene. How many times did you try that? Was it 4? How many takes was that? Because that guy is sick of you walking by him. Lord, Jesus and the things and faith, and in the Holy Bible, and God in my name. There's a Jesus Saves flag is Flashpoint, hosted by Gene the Jesus Machine.
Well, we're back, Flashpoint, live on location with my special friends, Pastor Hank Kuhneman and Mike Lindell. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, a guy so great, there's an echo.
Hey, so we've been here the last few days, well, the last couple days, seeing what
I've learned so much.
God's doing here in the midst of all these broadcasters.
Yeah, in the world of tax-free broadcasting, this really is the top. This is the destination of choice. Think of it as Comic-Con. If there was no comic involved and it was just a big con.
Getting the word out and talking about what's happening. All right, so Pastor Hank, you've been here. What do you think?
Listen, this is amazing. Something has shifted in the United States.
Yeah, I took a big shift on this yesterday.
United States of America regarding what God is doing with the media. And I'm telling you, we're seeing some new faces and new, I guess you could say.
New ladies, new groupies, new Flashpoint groupies over there. And by the way, this is not my shitty lighting. This is their shitty lighting. See how bright this is? See how bright the logo is? That's not because the video is dimmed. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Maybe they fix it, maybe they don't. But Hank has a fan on himself so he doesn't sweat off his orange.
You say new things that are about to arise.
Oh, yeah.
America.
Oh, I'm glad you've got a skirt on the table then.
Amen. All right. So, Mike, I'm going to do, you ready for this? What? This is the top.
What? Oh my God! He's already playing the hits already.
What? Wow.
All right.
We're going to do the top 10 here because this is you haven't been on since I've been doing the top 10.
What?
So this is top 10 stuff. I have a feeling that Mike Lindell's probably got another top 10 or two. All right, here we go.
Yeah, he's got a nutter top 10, sure.
Number 1, Rogan O'Hanley suing former California Secretary of State turned Senator Alex Padilla for colluding with Twitter to violate his First Amendment rights.
What, Jack Dorsey?
Oh, you're kidding me? All right. Okay, number 2, Twitter lost its protective shield in India. Again, it's a bad day because they failed to comply with new IT rules. Twitter.
Oh, yeah, what are those IT rules? Are those the kind of IT rules that would make you proud to be an American if they were here?
Could now face, now listen to this, face police questioning and criminal liability over unlawful and inflammatory content posted by
unlawful and inflammatory content
any user
posted by any user
on their platform. All right, number 3.
So government censorship, and we're supposed to celebrate that. Yeah, since when is Twitter the government? Exactly, a madness.
3, the Maricopa County audit continues. According to former Arizona Secretary of State.
By the way, that is not a picture of the Maricopa audit. That is, I think that's election workers on the day.
Ken Bennett, ballot evaluation should wrap up by the end of June.
Yeah, it should.
Further work will take place in July. Mike's going to have an update on what he thinks is happening here. Number 4.
What he thinks is happening. Kind of a crucial way of describing that.
Hundreds of citizens from across Michigan deliver more than 7,500 notarized affidavits to Michigan lawmakers claiming election fraud. Who ever heard of election fraud?
Yeah, claiming election fraud. You mean the ones that Rudy and Sidney Powell had, and they put them out, and all of them say, I believed I saw, and therefore you can't get in trouble because it's based on your belief, not on something you materially saw. Like, you can't say, I saw fraud. Your affidavit says, I believed I saw this happen, and I believed I saw a truck full of this, and I believe these boxes should have been over there, and I believe those boxes should have been over here. And then they go, oh, you were wrong. And you go, oh, okay, well, bye. Am I going to be in contempt of court? No, you can't. You just all you said was you believed, so you're a dumbass.
Demanding a forensic audit. I like that. They're demanding a forensic audit. The group was led by Michigan's first black female Secretary of State, Christina Caramo. Listen, folks, this is getting better. Every week there's, more happening. All right, number 5, I got to keep going. Governor Greg Abbott laid out a strategy for Texas to build its own wall.
On private property with private funds. And basically, he's just saying that the Trump wall didn't work, won't work, can't work.
Along the Texas-Mexico border, authorized $250 million down payment. He set up a donation website, directed.
It looks good. I think the staggering of the wall chunks is really how you know it's good. This isn't just old footage of the prototypes that they were building in, near San Diego or anything. And they ended up going with the one that's the easiest to scale.
Directed the Texas Facilities Commission to hire a project manager. Man, he's getting it done.
Slat fence.
Done. Way to go.
No, he's not.
Governor Abbott, you're just
no, he isn't.
A little behind, but we're glad you started. All right, number 6.
He's a little behind. The federal government was supposed to do it. Trump was supposed to have had Mexico pay for it. How is it Abbott's fault? He's just a dumbass trying to get those votes for next time.
Governor Ron DeSantis deploying Florida state and local law enforcement officers to Texas and Arizona. They're coming to help, Hank. Coming to help. That's good.
Yeah, the rising crime rate in Miami and other places where murders are up. Those guys don't need to be there.
Good. With border security.
They need to save us from the scourge of 8-year-olds.
Comes after Abbott and Ducey sent out a letter to every state urgently requesting immediate assistance. What I like about this is that states are beginning to work together like they've never done before. All right.
Well, not since the Confederacy, I suppose. It's a shame we don't have a name for southern states working. Hold on. Styrene builds Operation Mindcrime is one of the best concept albums ever made. No question. I would argue the greatest.
All right, number 7.
Sorry, on that side note. So I just saw that.
Federal judge blocked Biden's executive order that suspended new oil and gas leases on federal land. The preliminary injunction applies to offshore drilling and onshore federal land. It's a huge victory for American workers. All right, I'm almost done.
Why? How's it a huge victory? I mean, do I have to show the whole? Do I have to? This whole? Do I have to? How is this? All right. Thank you, Julie. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being you. Thanks for the super chats, guys. I appreciate it. Don't forget, if you've never been here before and you've never super chatted, that's what that little $sign next to the smiley face in the chat on YouTube is all about. You can just you can get stickers and all kinds of stuff, and that helps support the show. And of course, patreon.com/HalSparks, or you can Venmo at HalSparks or paypal.me/HalSparks if you want to help. If you don't, you can just enjoy the show. If you can help, thank you. If you can't help, don't worry about it. But I appreciate it. But if you can, please do.
Number 8, small businesses are having trouble hiring workers because the government's paying people more to stay home unemployed than they would earn by working. Folks, this won't last forever. You got to go back to work. 9 more.
Yeah, they know.
States announced they'll encourage people to get back to work.
Yeah, but it's a lot of the red states where people aren't getting vaccinated, so people don't trust the space to go back yet, and they're going to work for some jack-off like you who doesn't require masks or doesn't give a shit if anybody's inoculated, and the Delta variant's going to kill everybody, and these assholes are just going to let it happen, and so they can't get people to go back to those jobs.
By ending these unemployment pandemic benefits.
Thank you,
good
Boggy.
News. We got to do this. Number 9, U.S. Supreme Court. And before I go into this, what a great picture of the U.S. Supreme Court. I mean, where are we getting, fuck Fiverr. This is the greatest clip art. There's a lot of people that need to work, and there's companies ready to hire people. We've got to get back to work, America. United States Supreme Court unanimously ruled that Catholic foster agency has a right to turn away same-sex couples as foster parents on the ground of religious freedom. Now, listen, a year ago, we wouldn't think that was a big deal, but that's a big deal now that...
Yeah, a year ago, Trump was president, and that didn't happen. But I guess currently Biden's president. He's Catholic. Maybe that is a big deal.
Religious freedom is
Hi, Enrique.
coming in,
Thank you.
All right? And then finally...
Yes, 666 Tower is not going to pay for itself. If you're new to the show and you've never been here before and you have the means and wherewithal, please donate $6.66 to help us buy 666 Fifth Avenue. I only need 1 billion more people. Thanks.
Number 10, I got a bonus one, but number 10, California adopted President Trump's plan to use controlled burns to rake forest floors.
To rake forest floors
of dead trees, branches, and leaves to decrease the spread of all.
Let me just if can I? You mind? Let's see. That'll do it. Let's see, how long is this? Let's see. This is April 1997, if I may. Season of burn effects in Southern California, Chaparral. Abstract. Prescribed burning for fuel reduction is most safely implemented during the wet season or early summer in Southern California, Chaparral. Previous studies suggest that wet season burns result in poor germination of fire-dependent species, and that growing season burns may reduce sprouting vigor of shrubs. We examined vegetation recovery for March, June, and November. This is a study done in 1997. That's April 1997 by Occidental College in Los Angeles. And this was because they'd been doing it for so long, they were trying to go, how do we do the best version of doing it? This is the... But it was Trump's idea. Yeah, back in 1997 or in 1993 or 1985 or, yeah.
A wildfire. California will be using $500 million in government aid to send 12-person crews out to 33 million acres of land. That's good. Save that land. All right, so here...
Yeah, that's what California always does. The reason the fire seasons were extra bad was because of droughts, dryness, and the fact that arsonists and others were setting fires in areas that don't normally burn.
Here's my bonus one, number 11.
CSL.
Florida Board of Clemency has pardoned all Florida residents who were arrested or fined for violating their mask mandate imposed by local government. The tide has turned, gentlemen.
Yes, the tide has turned. Of all the durning tides, this one is the tidest tide that's ever turned. You mean when nobody has to wear masks anymore, and it's Florida?
Tide has turned. All right, I know you want to know what's the latest thing going on. So I told Mike already, Mike, everybody wants to know what's happening, what's the latest.
Yeah, they've seen your videos, they've seen your docu-movies. They're complete they're all hideously constructed, poorly edited, full of gibberish and bullshit. And they need you to come in here and tell them. Don't just go tell them to watch those 5 movies because they've watched them and they still don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Please tell us now.
Give us some good news.
Well, here's some great news, okay?
I'm very excited. Let's hear some great news.
Wow. I'm going to lay out what's going on right now. As you know, the last 3.5 months or 4 months, whatever it's been.
Whatever.
Since January 9th, when I got this different evidence that...
This different evidence.
It's a malware called QSnatch.
Right.
It's all, it's all through the computers, the machines, and everything.
Yeah.
QSnatch.
Well, right now, I think everyone in the country and the world probably knows I have something, right?
Yeah. Yes. Some of us think it's an aneurysm. Others think it might be a form of drug-related CTE, for example. Maybe when you were carpet farming, you moved into the kitchen tile and bonked your head really hard. You definitely have something.
We got something. The media, the mainstream media won't have me on. The bad media that I got to deal with every day because
no offense, guys.
Way to get the word out.
The bad media. It's the okay. He means the Daily Show.
Is over and over that it happened, that this happened, but none of them have disputed any of the evidence.
Right. Well, that's because there would have to be evidence to dispute, and there is none.
It's just that let's just kill Mike Lindell, squash him, kill his company.
Right.
Well, so you know what? If we sat back, I go, here's what we're going to do. This is called a cyber symposium, okay? And what that is, it's going to be a day.
Yeah, what is a cyber symposium? Thanks, Cats and Jam Dragon.
Probably in August, okay, early.
Probably. Wait a minute. Wait, I thought Trump was coming back in August. I thought it was in. Wait a minute. It was in July.
Gentlemen, tide has turned. All right, I know, gentlemen, tide has turned.
Over and over that it happened, that this happened, but none of them have disputed any of the evidence. Right. It's just that let's just kill Mike Lindell, squash him, kill his company. Well, so you know what? If we sat back, I go, here's what we're going to do. This is called a cyber symposium. Okay.
Which originally, if you'll recall, when we first covered this, was going to be in July.
Okay. And what that is, it's going to.
And Trump would be back in August. Back in office by August.
Be a date probably in August.
Probably in August. Probably. It was definitely in July. Now it's probably in August.
Okay, early August.
Early August. Well, okay, that's a little better.
And what this is, what we have, if anybody watched Absolutely 9-0.
I watched it, and it's called Absolute 9-0.
We have something that's called packet captures.
Right. Did somebody just pop a laser on him? It looks like somebody's shining a laser on him at one point. But anyways, packet capture, right. This is the fake evidence used to show off the demo software that he shows in the first one, absolute interference. And at the end when they show the kind of, it looks like missile command, this is just the information that they plugged in and they've sold to him as packet capture.
Of the whole election, okay? And these...
No, not of the whole election.
Packet captures, I want to explain what they are.
Yeah, please. This is going to be good. Might want to, guys, get out your Cyber Ninjas for Dummies book and your workbook. Turn to page 666 in your workbook and pick up where we left off last time.
If we were in front of Mount Rushmore and taking a picture in 1975, let's say that.
Yeah. This is going to be so good. If we were in front of Mount Rushmore in 1975, okay.
3 of us?
Just the 3 of you. And yes, you would have been you'd look about 10 years younger than you do now.
Someone took a picture.
Thank you, Sweet Indigo.
that would be forever captured. You couldn't alter it back then.
Yeah, but you could Photoshop it now pretty friggin' easy.
If you had the picture, but if you didn't have the picture, we'd have to prove somehow we were all there together, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, with a packet.
Now, with computers the way they are, we could, just the three of us sitting right here, we wouldn't even need a green screen. We could just pretend that wait, 1 second. Hold on. Let me see if it's at all possible. Let's see. Let me find, I'll have to go over here and go, let's see, Mount Rushmore. There we go, and get some sort of an image. There we go, and so, it's a good, let's see. Well, let's see. Yeah, here's a good one. We'll drag this over here, put that down there, drag this over here. Give me 1 second, kids. I'm just, doing a little something. Let's see, grab this. Add this, add a, let's see, an image. I want to, let's see, add a media file, I guess it would be, yeah, something like that. Let's go in here, we'll go browse disk, and we'll go to my desktop, and let's see, and then we'll go over here. I know I'm gonna crash everything to bring this up, but I feel like it's just worth it. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Let's see, and then just go here. Where's that? No, that's not the, there you go. Yeah, okay, so let me grab let's see, I'll grab a picture of Mount Rushmore, if I could. And I'm going to put myself, let's see, I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to see if, let's see, and then I need to move this behind me. There we go. And yeah, so like if I just wanted to make a picture of myself, just like in theory, like if I was in front of Mount Rushmore, or at least the Mount Rushmore that matters, you know, there's obviously in 1974, when this album came out, there would be no way to prove that I was right there with a fully grown adult with long hair in front of the Mount Rushmore that I actually care about. But now anything's possible. Nobody could fake this. Jesus Christ. This asshole is about to use a photo analogy in a modern society where nearly anything can be photoshopped.
Capture into cyber forensics, that's better than a picture. That's for...
No, it is not.
You can't alter it.
Yes, you can.
And it tells everything.
No, it does not.
But you had to capture it, okay?
Yeah, And
these guys did. That's what...
Did they?
We've had the packet captures of the whole election. So you show, what does a packet capture show you? Just one, if you watch Absolute Interference.
They all run together. I forgive him for not knowing which one it is.
Or if you watch Absolutely 9-0, either one.
Yeah, it's in both, but it's halfway in each.
You watch it and you'll see one packet capture will follow it. It shows where it came from, the attack, the IP of the computer.
And no matter what happens, whether or not it was a successful attack on our list or whether it was an unsuccessful attack on our list, Trump still lost votes. How is that? That's amazing. The Chinese are so good at this that they were able to steal votes from Donald Trump and give them to Joe Biden, even when their hacks were unsuccessful. We all did this before. I've seen this whole fucking thing.
Computer, the idea.
3 times.
The computer. Where?
Thanks for the binary, Momad and you. I appreciate it. And thank you, Lulu. What does it say? Get a fan to blow your hair. You can be in a hurricane. Oh, that's true. It's a good idea.
Who it came from? ID China? What? Comes popping over here.
What? Excuse me. It's pronounced.
What?
Thank you.
Which computer it hacked into? What exactly happened in that space? So
yeah, and no matter what happened, whether or not the software shows the attack happened or didn't happen, or was happening or wasn't happening, Donald Trump still lost votes. Fuck, this is dumb.
So it's like,
why is no one bringing this up? Why is no one? All right. Jordan, is it Klepper? What's the dude from Daily Show? God damn it. Dude, I've watched all of these fucking things. Why does no one bring that up? Why does no one bring up that no matter where he finds in his little like, aha, look, the Chinese attacked, and their attack came directly from a server at Alibaba because the Chinese are so stupid they would attack our election without using a VPN. Jesus. And when the attack happens, Trump loses votes on this one attack. Oh, my God, he's down 3,524 votes. Oh, my God, give those to Joe Biden. And then the next attack, unsuccessful, failed. His little list. Well, some worked, some didn't. The fails. Trump loses 6,244 votes. What the? Now, never mind the fact that foreign servers all over the world, news organizations were getting updates from the same secretaries of state that Steve Kornacki was getting to report. And worldwide, Donald Trump is such a pariah that there was more interest. So all these servers were checking in on the servers that let people know. You could just constantly refresh it. And you would refresh this thing and you'd go, oh shit, what's changed? Nothing's changed. No, it's what's changed. Oh, look at that. We got 3,000 more votes. Just like when Steve Kornacki's counting it off. And then they go, oh my God, there was a spike in Germany. Because the German press was reporting, oh, Joe Biden has taken the lead in Philadelphia. Right, that shit. Never mind that happened. And the media, there was like the argument about media centers in all these foreign countries. We saw a lot of activity in the news servers in Germany and in Spain and in England and all these countries that give a shit about the American election. Never mind that. But the fact that none of the hacks correlate to anything specific, just that Donald Trump was losing votes. And again, they're fictional hacks. That's not the important part.
In this case, one case, 7,000 votes flipped from Trump to Biden.
No, they didn't. They did not flip from Trump to Biden. Donald Trump lost 7,000 some odd votes during the counting period at one point. Thank you, Robin. Somebody's got to memorize all this shit. Thank you.
Biden.
No, they did not. They did not flip from Trump to Biden. Biden gained votes or Trump lost votes, I guess technically is how they're looking at it. Trump was down 3,000. Now he's down 10,000. They weren't flipped. They were just counted.
So it's like a footprint in time.
Yeah, right up your ass.
It's not subjective.
It is too.
It's 100%.
You're an asshole. This is so infuriating. God damn, this is just so dumb.
And what did I do the last couple months?
You've been paying money out to a bunch of 3-card Monty dudes on a train.
Hired white hat hackers from
white hat hackers.
Government. They're here to protect our country. Right. So you bring in this, all these packet captions saying, you guys, what is this? And they're all going, if you were a cyber person protecting our country for cyber attacks like, whether it's credit cards or the gas line, these guys, what would you want more than anything? They'd want the packet captures because it's non-subjective. You have all the information's right there. You don't have to do a lot of work, right?
Well, these guys took a lot of my money to look at these packet captures and tell me what they wanted what I wanted to hear from those things.
These guys, they said, okay, with these packet captures, now having all this, I said, so what we're going to do at this cyber symposium, we're going to invite all the people that I've hired that validated it all. They're going to be there, and every cyber expert that has CISSP credentials,
I do not have those, but I want to go. Can I go?
No idea what it is, but you got to have it, right?
Well, yeah, you got to have that thing. I don't know what it is, but why would that matter? You're just trying to overturn the election of the United States of America based on, I don't know what the fuck it is. It's something.
Yeah, it sounds impressive.
It does sound impressive.
What? And so.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as impressive as.
Snatch.
But it's close.
We're going to be, you have this big, maybe it could be like we're in now, a huge convention center.
Yeah, it's huge.
So you're inviting them, a 3-day event. You bring them in.
And you bring them in. I like this. So far, you're bringing them in. They're brought in. Some of them they're brought. Are they flown in? or they walk in. I don't know.
And we're going to show all the PCAPs. Here you go. Here it all is, and you're bringing all the media from the whole world, maybe even.
Yeah, the media from all over. RT, Sputnik, College News associated with Al Jazeera. What's that ISIS magazine? They'll be there.
Even Fox would show up. What a concept. All these coward stations and journalists out there that won't look at stuff, that are afraid. And so they bring them there.
Yeah, that's a way to get them to come to your thing, Mike.
Worldwide event.
Use some reverse psychology on them. Can you imagine a conversation with I would love to have this conversation with Mike Pillow. God damn, it's dumb.
And it's going to be seen by billion. I want to break Elvis Presley. Hello from Hawaii. Remember that in 1973? Everybody watched it. Everybody's going to tune in because.
Yeah, they totally are. Both these guys are buying it. Gene hasn't moved on already.
Here it is. You're putting all your cards on the table. Then this is where the people come in, everybody.
Oh boy, this is where it happens. All right.
Wow. All right. Every single person in this country, you need to tell your legislatures, you need to tell your senators, your state senators, your congressmen, you need to tell your governor, you
need to tell your bookie, you need to tell your dealer,
Secretary of State, your Attorney General. Say
he's high, the back of his throat is numb, probably.
You need to go represent and watch, and they can sit there and watch all this and ask all the questions when all these experts, these cyber experts are turned.
By the way, none of his cyber experts will appear on camera. So there's that. So I don't know what the news thing is going to be like. I don't know if they'll all have to wear a mask or something.
It is what it is.
Yeah, well put.
You can't change it. It is.
No, you can't change it. You can just look at it, look at Mike, look at the people taking his money, look back at Mike, and go, you're a moron. All you can do, really.
Is what it is.
Like a picture, like you described, that can't be altered once it.
Like a picture, it can't be altered. And we are talking about digital packets of information. No government on Earth would have the ability to create packet capture frauds that were clever enough to fool someone as wise in the ways of computers as Mike Pillow. God damn.
Once it's there, that's just there.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Gene. Just way to shape it up.
Heroes that got these packet captures on the night of the election.
They did. These guys are heroes. Now, they got the packet captures on the night of the election, weeks before the election, but.
Now, let's say you don't have these packet captures.
Okay, I'll say it. You don't have these packet captures. You have fakes sold to you by lunatics.
Well, the audits that we all did. By the way, judges seeing this. This all came January 9th. All this, that was brought to me. I want to say.
Yeah, it was brought to you. It wasn't brought to anybody else. It was brought to you. You of the take my money.
With these packet captures.
His packet captures.
If you don't have them, let's say you didn't have them.
You don't have them. I'll say it.
Then how would you ever find out about this cyber attack by China and all these massive number of votes that were flipped?
Well, we would have the Department of Homeland Security, the CIA, and the FBI involved because there would be a massive discrepancy between the paper ballots and the votes that were there. So during any of the recounts where the numbers didn't match up exactly, they would go, holy shit, there's 8,000 missing votes here and there's just no ballots, and it's all over the country. It's in dozens of places. It's so slapdash, it doesn't match even close. It's off by tens of hundreds of thousands of votes. It's ridiculous. Every state is completely corrupt. Oh my God. And not only that, but we can trace the IPs directly to a storefront for Alibaba in Beijing. My God. if the Chinese were only slightly more clever, they would have been able to hide this.
Which I seen in November, December, going, this is...
Yeah, probably sugar packets from Waffle House that have 2020 election written on them. Right. You look exhausted from listening to this. Thanks, Mariah. I kind of am.
It's just too...
I've dealt with this bullshit before. We've done this so many... Like, this... He keeps thinking this is all new.
Big for, I call it organic cheating for your dead people, your non-residents, all the stuff that went on too.
Yeah. Oddly enough, though, that went on, but it doesn't match up with the hacking. But it was perfectly coordinated with the hacking, but at the same time doesn't show up and never actually happened. Yeah, but that's the organic stuff. You mean the stuff where Trump got more votes than he should have? Prove me wrong.
But then when you found this, it had to be done by machines, by computers, which it was. So. So now, when you bring in, by bringing in all of these, congressmen and governors and everything else.
Yeah, when you get the attention, I hear you. So the important thing is you get attention for your promo code FLASH for MyPillow.com. Is that because Lanny Walnuts is exposing himself in a bathroom at the convention center to a Christian woman's group right now? Maybe some other reason.
You're bringing them in, and they're going to see it with their own eyes. It's not subjective. And they're going to go, come on, it can't be, right? It can't be. If you didn't have...
By the way, that audio chop is not mine.
...them, you would have to do audits. Not just an audit like these fake audits they did. You got to do one like they're doing in Maricopa County. Yeah. You need the machines, and you need the routers. Why do you think they're trying to stop Maricopa from getting the routers?
They got routers. I mean, obviously, some of the stuff they had to remove because they didn't want the people to know the addresses of and the voting history of people because that's private, and that would violate their constitutional rights. That might be why. Yeah, and the fact that there aren't any.
The routers they're also printed. They show who did it and everything.
The routers are printed.
Else, right? But they don't.
No.
I want to show you the routers there. It's been just going through mud when you got governors like Ducey and Kemp.
Yeah, Republicans, you mean?
Obstructionists that
Republicans, I know.
Obstruct.
Yeah, that's the Republican way. I mean, you like it when Mitch McConnell's doing
it. You ask yourself, everybody, you go, when I was kicked out of the RGA, the Republican Governors Association.
That's what I ask myself. You remember when you were kicked out of the Republican Governors Association? I go, no, I don't remember that. Well, you wouldn't, would you?
Here's a little deviation there.
There was a lot of deviation there. There's a lot of, I don't know, in general, I think, there's a lot of those folks.
I think there's some kind of deviated prevert.
I'm invited. Of course I'm invited. You think I'm going to go down there for my health? I go down there. I was invited last year, but I'm going, you know what?
Yeah, if you get invited one year, your invite is good for the next year, right? I mean, any Oscar party I've been invited to, I can just go to forever.
What? I'm going to call out Ducey and Kemp. Well, they must have got wind of that. Probably bragged about that I was going to do it. I don't know. Said something with my, But they all of a sudden, right before we're heading to the governor's, man.
God damn it. Thank you, Deborah.
They come down and say, you know what? You're uninvited. In fact, you're invited to everything. Now, that's not the part that is the big deviation, right?
No, that's not the part where you thought you could just go there and shit on some governors randomly as just rando CEO dude, that you'd just be allowed in the room at any kind of gathering, that you think that that's true. What? All right. I'm sorry, I forgot. You're an asshole too.
The media then, the parable media, your politicals, your daily beasts of the world,
yeah, political. I read political almost every day. I guess you do.
Come
too.
And they
go, he was uninvited.
They go, Mike, you were kicked out, whatever. And I said, yeah. I said, I had credentials though, because they lied to them and said I wasn't invited. So I show the left media, I show them my credentials, okay? You'd think that they would want to attack the RGA and say, hey, they lied to us. The RGA lies. But they didn't do anything because of Brian Kemp and Doug Ducey. You got to ask yourself.
So Tony's saying, what I think is great about Mike Lindell's hackers that gave him this information, that he believes that they had access to voting machines during our election, which makes them criminals hacking our election. So it looks like Mike is admittedly directly working with potential election hackers and doesn't even recognize that. Precisely. And by the way, it's all show. They fabricated it to sell demo software to the to the State Department, and the State Department said, "No, thank you. We don't trust you. Fuck off. We have our own software, and we got this covered." And they went and sold it to Mike Lindell using the same demo with just BS IP addresses that they put in. Because again, he's like, we verified the computers, as if they went to China and Tom Cruise, their Mission Impossible, their way into a server room at Alibaba and opened up a laptop and checked its actual serial number.
Yourself, why are they in on it with them?
Yeah, that's right. There's a MSNBC and Fox and ABC and stuff. They're all in it with the Republican Governors Association.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, just figure it out, you know. So what?
I don't know. Just figure it out, you know.
But what I'm saying with this symposium now, you're getting everybody there. I want the naysayer. I want the, right now, I think it's 80,
you want the naysayer?
80% of Republicans and 30% of Democrats now believe that this country was attacked by China with these machines.
No, they don't. 30% of Democrats do not believe that at all. And 70% of Republicans, no. They think there was shenanigans. Some of them think that, Fulton County had some, black volunteers doing fake ballots and blah, blah, blah. It didn't pan out and whatever. But that they can believe that. But 30% of Democrats do not believe that we were attacked by China. And those that do, in many ways, think that Florida, Ohio, and especially Texas are incredibly suspect, and then it's actually that Trump, the man who was in power at the time of the election, was actually buying votes or having some people help him to try and win the election, and it's why he was so far behind in Texas, and yet he won handily. And the same thing is true in a bunch of places. And he was saying, if you get this many votes, you're going to win automatically, which sounds like a sales pitch.
And they go, Mike, where'd you get this to this? Well, we did a poll. We did a poll. Call me out on it, fake news, I mean, I'm telling you, that's reality. That's what I believe the numbers are. And it's...
That's what I believe the numbers are. What?
More and more every day, and you look at this and we get this done now. Now imagine millions, a billion people watching this.
It's fabulous. The fantasy is amazing. I'm partially chubbing right now.
And every one of them cyber guys has to turn.
Every one of them cyber guys has to what?
To their governor,
has to turn to their governor, because every state has them cyber guys.
Congressman, I don't care what party you're in, go, this was an attack by China.
So they're going to whisper like, this was an attack by China. I don't know if you know this. Hold on one second. There's something wrong with the way I'm doing this. It's just missing something. I don't know what it is. I got to figure out. Let me see if I can. Yeah, maybe this will do. Oh, give me 1 second or whatever. So they'll have to lean over. They'll have to lean over and go, this was an attack by China. Well, this was an attack by China. This is never going to stay on. It totally.
These are, this is.
Oh, yeah.
It's exactly the packet captures. They're not going to believe. They're going, wow.
You have the packet. What? Wow.
Captures for the whole election.
You got the whole election.
Oh,
the whole election.
So that's what you're going out there.
Wow.
And then what's going to happen? Then
what's
bring
going
it
to
to the Supreme Court.
And then you go straight in. You just kick the doors into the whole Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court when they,
and then they do that. They go,
going to go, you got to protect our country.
You got to protect.
They're going to be
and they're going to be like, oh, yeah. They're going to be
all 9 of them. You're letting them off the hook there because you know what?
Yeah, don't let them off the hook there. I'm going to go count the darn cars.
Liberal, whether they're, doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter if they're liberal or Marxist or socialist or communist or Venezuelan or Chinese or fish. Nobody.
If they're getting blackmailed or something, they can go, hey, I got to say it's I got to say it is because it's non-subjective.
It's not subjective. No, it's not.
They pull this election
this
down
whole thing down.
It's over. You put a real president back in.
You put the real president, just throw him back in there. You go down to the Supreme Court, you throw the whole thing off there, and this thing won't stay on. These Super Mario kids mustaches from Party City suck. Oh yeah, House Pillows, right?
I think the mainstream, Mike, you said August. Excuse me, I might be off by a month. Yeah.
Yeah, you're off my. I might be off of my fucking gourd. Sorry. What happened to Hal? Oh, I disappeared? All right.
Now,
You gotta. I can't do that without the mustache. Shit. This is not good.
I don't know if those of you that are scoring along at home.
Just a big 0 times 0.
A lot of times in the media, it's not what they say, it's what they're not saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's not what you see, Gene. It's what you not see. I am not doing that mustache. Sorry.
So you need to understand what they're not saying.
Yeah, what they're not seeing.
And I thought it's interesting with all this timing, President Trump comes out this week and said, I have never conceded the election. That's right.
So it's almost like he's as deluded and stupid as you are. It's amazing. It's almost as if he's found a great way to grift his followers. If they still think this is possible, they're going to keep chucking money down his farting gullet.
There you go. Exactly I've never conceded the election.
Yeah, I know. That's really. I do want you to know something though, Gene, the Jesus machine. He fucking lost. He doesn't legally. His concession means nothing. It's a perfunctory. It's habit. It's a tradition. It shows that you can be magnanimous. It protects our democracy by someone being not being a sore loser. But Donald Trump is a fuck up on all fronts in every part of his life, and especially in his choice of friends, apparently. And it's no surprise that he would also fuck up something as easy as a decent concession.
All right, let me pitch to Greg. We'll take a break here from this table.
Jesus, Greg was not ready for this. He was on his way to a Glenn Beck cosplay, and he was trying to force his beard to grow in.
We're live at the National Religious Broadcasters here in Texas at Grapevine at the Gaylord Hotel. But I want to pitch to...
At the where?
Whether they're doesn't even matter if they're getting blackmailed or something, they can go, hey, I got to see it. So, it is what it is because it's non-subjective. It's not subjective. They pull this election down, and it's not going to believe they're whether they're doesn't even matter whether they're.
A lot of times in the media, it's broadcasters here in Texas at Grapevine at the Gaylord Hotel. But I want
at the what hotel?
To pitch to Greg. They're in the news studio. Greg, bring us up to date.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Gene. Let me try and appear not ridiculous.
To the audit that's underway in Arizona's Maricopa County. I'll catch you up with that in a moment.
Yeah, it's going great.
Right now, the top Republican in Pennsylvania's state Senate is reportedly considering calling a vote to authorize an audit of the 2020 election in Pennsylvania.
He's thinking about considering it? Oh, good.
According to the Epic Times, the chair of the state...
Oh, the Epic Times. Great, according to them.
Government committee says he wants to review Pennsylvania's election results before making a decision about that audit. Over the weekend, David Argyle told reporters he didn't see any danger in conducting an audit, and
because he knows it's going to turn out the way it turned out, and
was considering doing one similar, very similar to what they're doing there in Arizona. Now, in Arizona. And we're wondering what really happened when it came to, and specifically, signature verification of ballots in Maricopa County, Arizona. The Western Journal is reporting, according to Ken Bennett, the Senate liaison to the election audit, county election workers told auditors that signature verification standards for mail-in ballots were very high at the beginning of the counting, but they were lowered drastically, and before it was all said and done, they were done away with altogether. According to the report, here's the latest, Gene.
Because Trump was losing too many votes because his people can't sign paper?
According to the report, county election officials have denied these allegations.
And by the way, that's a lie. They made it up. And what they're talking about and what they're using as evidence is that the machines that were running through were kicking stuff out when they were set at like 70%. And they still had to look at them again, but they would also just run them through for signature verification. They would kick out any that weren't perfect. And so they were lowering the standard so they'd go through smaller packets because the ones that were super obvious, if they set it at 30%, the ones that were super obvious would just automatically go through.
these allegations, but the Journal reports election officials were allegedly looking for 20 points in signature verifications. They reviewed
20 points
absentee ballots. But when they got behind, the county workers were allegedly told to drop from 20 points of verification down to 10 points of verification, then down to 5 points, then down to 1. According to...
Yeah, here's one. Does the signature look like the signature? Yeah, it does, actually. Okay, that's it.
Bennett, workers dropped signature verification of those ballots altogether.
Which is a lie.
And they even allowed ballots through that had no signatures at all.
That's a lie as well.
Bennett goes on to say if that is true, it
isn't.
Would be a terrible failure.
It would, but it's not. So why even bring it up?
Audit workers.
But to keep saying it.
Going to check out the mail-in ballots to...
Yeah, they're going to check them out, and they're going to find signatures on all of them. Can we just jump ahead back to Mike Pillow? Oh, my God. It's Mario. We don't need to see Mario. Oh, God. Hanky Hank. Hanky Cooney Coon gets to say something. Hold on. I so wish...
You don't need a break. Look in your grandchild's eyes. Look in your children's eyes. And then ask yourself if you deserve a break.
I don't. That's why I don't go to McDonald's anymore. I really don't. Not that I ever really did. But I was like, I don't deserve a break today. I don't care how well. I mean, Barry Manilow may have the voice of an angel and the songwriting skills to match, but
we have to push back on wokeness and this culture.
He says from the middle of the street on a hill in San Francisco, speaking with a purple microphone that looks vaguely like a giant turtle penis.
War that's in America.
Epically counting votes. Oh, Wengway goes. Epically counting votes. Yeah.
We cannot give up now. We've got to expose the fraud of the election. We've got to change. We've got to go to the schools.
Yes.
We've got to keep the
go to the
noise
schools
up. And
yes, it is noise. I will give you that.
Keep ourselves engaged.
Yeah, you got to keep on keeping on, Mario. But you're going to have to get out of the way before you're killed by a trolley.
Yeah, amen to that. We do have to stay engaged. Pastor Hank, you know, what you're hearing from Mike Lindell and Mario is absolutely true. We're doing this. Let me tell you one thing I like about Mike.
Yeah. Mike pays for our show. That's one thing I like about him.
You see him or you hear him, his talks always end up with about revival. About the whole point of this is that we're leading America into a revival.
And since that's our big money maker, I'm for it.
You're seeing that happening right there in Omaha.
Yes, I see a great awakening happening. People are getting saved. They're hungry. But here's the thing. This is why it's so important.
I have to say, Hank, I've been watching some of your stuff, and we've been playing clips, and the audience at your get-togethers is thinning out a touch. I'm just saying.
You know, to have Mike here, for example, tonight, because, you know, there's a scripture that says that there was a man sent from heaven, and his name...
You're going to have to say it slowly, because Mike is a man of God who doesn't know any of this.
His name was John. There's a man sent from heaven named Mike Lindell that God is using to wake up...
What? I'm sorry. Was this in Acts or Romans?
America with a different kind of...
It must have been in one of the other Corinthians.
...of awakening, and it's called A Great Awakening to the Truth.
Oh, so it's a QAnon thing. I see. How's the pineapple taste on your farm, Cooney Coon?
And truth will have a voice. And I want to just say this, Pastor Gene. You know, God prophesied back August 16th of...
no, you did. God did not prophesy. You prophesied.
2020. So maybe you're watching, you're saying, well, I don't believe in prophecy.
Right.
Well, listen to this. August...
All right, what do you say?
16 documented prophecy from our ministry. God said they would steal the election, it would be delayed, and that they would have a planned, chaotic thing that they would do. The prophecy then goes on and says, God will give a sign. There'll come a great unmasking, and when the masks come off the mouths, you will see.
It wasn't because there were masks at the time. What?
Who did this, where they did this, when they did this, and why they did this.
And who they did this to.
And God says when that
who is Gomorrah?
Mask comes off, there will be a removal of political figures. Boy, I wonder who that can be.
I'm going to go with Trump, and that the prophecy was just off by a little bit, and he obviously got kicked to the curb specifically on January 20th. But he's the guy that actually. I mean, it might be Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, though. You know, it could be all the people who were engaged in January 6th. I mean, I don't want to second guess God's prophecies, but I'd have to go back and play a clip of that.
The false clown administration that is in there illegally. And that's why God is using men like this and others for the truth to come out, because
the false clown.
God is restoring, Pastor Gene, our nation back to divine order. And it's why we've got to stand as bold Christians, preachers, those of you that voted for President Trump. You stood for what's right. Listen, payday is coming, and it's coming fast. And I want to just
so God is bribing his followers now.
say this. I had a dream on Sunday.
Really? You slept in on Sunday? That didn't sound right. Why are you sleeping on Sunday? Were you napping during church? Did you fall asleep in church again?
And, you know, God speaks to me in dreams. And I asked
Oh, that explains it.
the president. He called me in the dream.
And the Lord said, "You shall find yourself in a hallway of your high school, buck naked and late for a test. And everyone will be laughing until you turn around and show them. And then the laughing shall cease."
Dream. And I asked him, I said, "How are things going, President Trump?" And he said to me, he said, "Hank, it's going to happen sooner than you think."
Oh, yeah? Did he kind of, God's a little chatty about that? Hank, it's going to happen sooner than you think. Was he sitting on a log?
And then he said these words.
What I did tell you was true from a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view?
He said, "Tell the people that they have been and are aggressively working on this, and we are going to see our nation restored to the people." And then the dream switched, and we were in some big meeting place, and it
was a hot tub.
He was singing the national anthem, and he had his hand over his heart. The military were there, and the patriots of America were rejoicing. This is what's coming.
God had his hand over his heart. It's a big hand.
And I'm telling you, we cannot back off. What we need to do is get behind men like this who God
who pay for your broadcast, right?
is using to bring the truth out, because it's going to shift things very soon.
Yeah, in fact, let me just say right here, we want to get behind Mike Lindell, and I'm...
Yeah, absolutely, and unzip. You, Mike, if these guys get behind you, cover your ass.
Speaking to your Flashpoint army, you guys know...
It's Flashpoint, not Fleshpoint.
Know what to do. Mike, they just took you out of a few big box stores again, and I'm like, really, guys, come on. All right, so you know what to do. Go buy another pillow. Go buy something from the store. Go to whatever you can. Go to my.
You mean use the Flashpoint promo code because he's paying for the broadcast like he does everywhere he goes?
Pillow.com. Order something. Use the code FLASH. You get a special discount.
Yeah, no, don't.
And we're going to help Mike Lindell and the good people, all your staff. And you know, that's the people that get hurt.
Yeah, by you, Mike. Yeah, you could have separated yourself. You could say, look, my pillow has nothing to do with my own political beliefs. Don't take this out on my company and my employees. I am not Mike Pillow, the CEO of Mike Lindell, the CEO of My Pillow. I'm my own man in this regard. My company and all that stuff is involved. There's a lot of other people. I am not, as a matter of fact, I'm stepping down as the CEO of My Pillow right now because I don't want it to harm those, the individuals who work very hard there and the executive staff and da-da-da. He's not doing that. He's using it to sell pillows.
Yeah. Because when you can't generate income, you have to start cutting where you got to cut. And
yes, and he could cut, for example, the number of dollars that he gives to fake cyber experts.
We want to help make sure that doesn't happen. So
2,500 employees, they have families, and they've been thanking everybody, especially like you guys.
Yeah, let me see, was there Mike Lindell masks losing money? Gee, who talked this guy into, I can't imagine, who talked this guy into turning his factory into a mask making facility? Who could that possibly, I couldn't imagine.
That have gotten behind us when these cowards, these box stores and shopping channels that just, they're as bad as the people that attack them, the bots and trolls.
All right, so what you need to do is you need to remember who's cutting people like Mike Lindell, who's being nowadays.
Who's cutting
if you
him?
haven't been censored by YouTube, you're doing something wrong.
Well, I have been. So thanks for the vote of confidence, Gene, the Jesus machine.
You gotta get with
the
program, folks.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, this is, I call it the revelation of the remnant. You know, we used to play, I've said this before, we used to hear politicians, they all play to that 11% in the middle when it comes to an election, because you got the ultra right and the ultra left.
No, they don't. And there's not 11% in the middle. Are you out of your fucking mind?
And what they're doing is now there is no middle. Nobody's trying to be centrist. That's a term that's gone.
Well, if anybody has, I've done damn fine work as best I can.
All the way. It's either far right or far left. So guess what? Even in the church, you've got to decide, what are you doing? What side are you on?
What do you mean even in the church? What the fuck? How is that anything? No, you don't. It's, as a matter of fact, in the church is the one place you wouldn't have to choose a side.
This is the time. You can't ride the fence. I think Mario said it this way.
No, you can just go to church and pray and align yourself as best you can in your daily life with the teachings of whatever your church is. You do not have to pick a fucking side. This is gross. Seriously. Yeah, right. But yeah, the Dems are divisive. Yeah, it's the left that's dividing everyone.
But you can't ride the fence when the devil owns the fence. You're going to
The devil does not own the fence. The fence would be the center part. I think Buddha owns the middle way.
Make sure you stand up and make sure you're counted and all that. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, and all that.
Again, go share this on all your social media. Special shout out to everybody watching on frankspeech.com. If you're not
Oh, okay. So there we go. He's carrying their show on there now.
Signed up on Frank Speech, you need to do that. You've got how many people following you now on Frank Speech?
Well, we get about 1 million a day, and it's just, I don't even know.
You mean the same million?
It just keeps getting better and better. I'm pulling in people, so they tried to completely take our First Amendment right and gone. You know.
Yeah, take it and gone.
Get rid of us all, and so putting this platform.
By the way, go to fwank.com and subscribe, FWANQ.com.
Out there, it's basically a broadcast network right now, because we need it right now more than ever, because when we do pull the trigger and say, you know what, everybody talk about this symposium, get your congressman over there, I need that voice to push it out far and wide, and that's I built the whole thing for such a time as this, to get the word out. Sure, after this is all done and we pull this election down, we get our president back in and we get our voices back, then then we use it for other things that you can, they started with the machines, and you can talk about vaccines, and it's getting to the point now, I mean, so many people out there, what do you think their big end goal is? Don't talk about Jesus. That's it,
That's the end game. So calling out Donald Trump as a complete punk, a loser, a fraud, and an anti-democratic monster during the entire course of his presidency, his grotesque personal behavior towards women and minorities through his entire fucking life. Calling him out for that, and calling out people who hypocritically support him, alleging that he is somehow the messenger of God. That's an attack on Jesus. You know how taking the Lord's name in vain is one of the concept sticks in my craw, because it doesn't mean not saying Jesus Christ or going God damn it when you say something. It means using the name of God for your own actions when they do not align. So using the Lord's name in vain is saying God sent me, being a false prophet, for example. And in the case of this, is there anything more pathetic than going, well, it's really, I know they're attacking Trump, but it's really because they're trying to get at Jesus. Fuck off.
And so, you say one thing and it's like,
shame on you.
And I think,
no, it isn't. It's not you say one thing and nobody called him out for saying something Christian when he was with Trump on, when he gave that speech that he keeps referencing back to the time when he appeared in the Rose Garden with Trump. And he's like, everybody was on me for, calling me a bigot after I just came out and said I believe in Jesus and that. It was the hypocrisy of thinking that Donald Trump is somehow aligned with the teachings of Jesus in any way.
When you were talking about
What was he talking about?
People right now, I said this is the best time in history to be alive because it's God.
Well, that's true. I mean, did you see the dude on the flying drone cycle thing in Times Square? I want one of those fucking things so bad. And of course, we're about 15 years we're about 15 years to 20 years away from our anti-aging treatments reaching basically an aging escape velocity where if you can turn somebody who's 60 back to the health they had when they're 30, and you can just kind of keep doing that, then you really don't need a cure for ultimately that thing. You could just, the treatments that you'll have will be able to keep people at around, 30 to 35 year physical age for their entire lives and stuff. We're about 15 to 20 years away from that. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's a good time. You know what I mean? I look forward to seeing my great grandkids graduate from university, but obviously, that's not what he's talking about.
God gave us grace. When I spoke from the Rose Garden, I said,
oh my God, that's that. All right.
God gave us grace, and I said we need to spend time in our Bibles and in prayer and be proactive in prayer. Our prayers are getting answered now. I mean, they're getting answered.
Are they? Yeah, this was the answer to your prayer. Being at the religious broadcasters gathering at the Gaylord Hotel in Texas with the guys from Flashpoint, arguing why no one watches your docu-movies that you post on your own site because you got kicked off Twitter. I mean, it's really just, it is a prayer answer.
No, because one of the things is all of these things, if you look, we're going to get out here and you look back and all these things had to happen. Right. It wasn't, you think, I look back.
Yeah, Trump had to lose.
Now, and I say, you know what? If they would have, everyone would have done their job back then and stuff, and then we would have never known about the machines, about this attack. And you got to look at these things that happen.
Yeah, because Trump wouldn't have looked into it, and as long as he gets elected, he didn't give a shit. So basically, he had to lose before we noticed that someone was trying to help him win.
And even look.
Oh, God.
I've said it before, too. If I was a marketer over here for the CCP that used the Democrat Party and I'm over here, I'm going to go, you got to look at these things that are just too long odds to happen. Well, what they did, the two senators in Georgia. So if I'm them, I'm going to go, let's give them a Republican for now. We already have some compromised senators. Let's give them that, because if they would have, I was praying that they took them both, because if they give one, we're not sitting here. You know why? Right. Everyone's going, oh, we'll get them in 2022, There wouldn't be a 22, and there's not going to be one now, okay? But they got...
Yeah, okay, there's not... By the way, 2022 has been canceled. I know you had plans, but...
Greedy and took them both. Right. And then if I'm a marketer for them, on inauguration, I'm going, you know what? Let's just let them all shut up about this thing, and let's do good stuff and not do anything damaging to, like open up the border or lay off 50,000 union workers or just little things like that hurt everybody. Let's just say.
Oh, you mean like you wouldn't have them? The border czar basically say don't come. The border is closed in English and Spanish. You wouldn't have Kamala Harris go down to South America and say, I know you're thinking about coming, don't come. You wouldn't do that? You wouldn't? Huh.
Just sit here and not do nothing and open up the states and make everybody feel good. And you know what? Then we'll kill them and we'll crush them and take the country because they already had the machine. But once again, bad marketing. They went right for the throat. Let's do. And what's that doing right now, everybody? My audience is, I have people, everyone over here is more, but,
I'm glad he's staying on track, though.
They want to believe that what happened, and they do believe. Well, my audience has always been, just because the Democrat Party was used by this, they're the ones that warned of this. The Democrats, I have friends that are Democrats, some of my employees are Democrats and liberals, and I talk to them, and now they're shifting.
It's the old, they didn't sign up for this, we didn't want this.
They don't get brainwashed. They're not getting brainwashed anymore, because you know what? The only one out there talking about election fraud is me on the bad media, going like this. They're not saying didn't happen or whatever. They're just not talking about it, like you say. But they see something going on. And what they see going on is just...
Yeah, they don't just nod at you because you're the boss, and then when you walk away go, fucking hell, I got to look for a new job.
Decisions that don't help anybody, okay? And they're seeing these terrible decisions going there. I always take people back. Let's go back in time to our happy place.
All right, I feel like that's a new audio drop. That has to be.
Used by this, and they're the ones that warned to this. The Democrats, I have friends that are Democrats, some of my employees are Democrats and liberals, and I talk to them, and now they're shifting. They don't get brainwashed. They're not getting brainwashed anymore because you know what? The only one out there talking about election fraud is me on the bad media, going like this. They're not saying didn't happen or whatever. They're just not talking about it, like you say. But they see something going on, and what they see going on is decisions that don't help anybody, okay? And they're seeing these terrible decisions going there. I always take people back. Let's go back in time to our happy place, December of 2019.
Yeah, December of 2019. That was our happy place. If those of you that listen to my radio show before I had this daily live stream will remember that in December of 2019, I was warning you about a disease that was coming from China and that you might want to, when you're going out, if you're going to sneeze, cough into your or sneeze or cough into your elbow, or sneeze into your elbow, wash your hands regularly, don't touch your face, and avoid people who've been sick. And if you've been sick, wear kind of a mask because this disease is killing people in China, and it's only a matter of time before it gets out. And I, over Christmas break, warned of this multiple times. But to him, November 2019 was a happy place.
Merry Christmas, right? It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Everybody, no matter who you were in the United States, if you were here, everybody's life had gotten a little bit better.
Yeah,
and
totally.
no matter how many
and all it took
forks you ate with, you got a little bit better. Consumer confidence all-time high, unemployment all-time low. Everything was beautiful. How did we get there? We got there by priming the pump, the largest military package in the world, a temporary tax break that was flooding the economy with money, and then of course we hit a recession in February of 2020 because of that. We got there by political decisions that manifested to help the people. Now I say to everybody, Democrat, Republican alike, you look at what's in office now and you think that's your Democrat party or whatever. That's the what do you call the facade that they're saying is there. But that you look at the decisions that come out of there. And if you can't say, if you take a decision like the border, opening up and it was working just fine, and you ask yourself, if you're over here and you're a Democrat, you're going, did that help me? No. How about the
no
50,000 union jobs where 13 of them committed suicide already? Did that?
13 people committed suicide because they lost their job. I beg your pardon? So the people who were going to work on the Keystone Pipeline who lost their job, 13 of them committed suicide because a pipeline that wasn't built didn't get built.
It helped anyone? No, it helped countries overseas. It hurts you more than anything. Right.
It's a Canadian shale oil pipeline.
It ain't this what you pay extra for gas. Everything goes up because of that.
Yeah, and it's the Democratic Party. Thanks, Moms Russo.
So you take those 40-some executive orders that keep coming out of D.C. and you dissect them and you put one after another and you say, these are political decisions, but they're not helping anybody or the people. So
I know I'm running out of time. I know I've gone way over. I get it. Biden executive orders. Just a general, if I may. Here's a list that came of the executive actions he signed in his first 100 days. Let's see. First one, of course, raised the minimum wage of federal contract workers to $15 an hour. Doesn't help anybody. Immigration reverses the Trump policy banning refugees from key regions and enables flights from those regions to begin within days. Declares that the 15,000 annual refugee cap set by Trump will be raised to a number to be determined by May 15th. Imposes sanctions and diplomatic expulsions on Russia. That helped, certainly. Forms the Presidential Commission on the Supreme Court of the United States, which is intended to provide an analysis of the principal arguments for and against Supreme Court reform. Revokes a Trump executive order that authorized sanctions on International Criminal Court officials. Establishes a White House Gender Policy Council. That would help people of not Mike's gender, I guess would be the thing. Reaffirms a policy of the Biden administration that all students should be guaranteed an educational environment free from discrimination on the basis of sex, including discrimination in the form of sexual harassment, which encompasses sexual violence, and including discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. That would help those folks. I mean, I'll just look at the ones that isn't revoking something. Launches a 100-day review of U.S. supply chains for pharmaceuticals. That would seemingly help. Establishes a White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships to coordinate providing community services in partnerships with federal, state, and local governments and with other private organizations. That sounds kind of Jesus-y. Sanctions Myanmar. Establishes an interagency working group to propose improvements for recruiting and retaining and supporting national security professions. Outlines the structure of the National Security Council, incorporates more regular participation from cabinet officials focused on domestic policy that influences national security. Extends the timeline from the January 21st memo, which directed FEMA to reimburse states to fully cover the cost for National Guard personnel and emergency supplies. Now states will also be reimbursed for emergency purchases made since the beginning of the pandemic. This covers, by the way, all the cities that had to spend money on National Guard services under Trump when they had riots and there was damage caused by that. And the cities ended up having to also pay for the National Guard troops that came there. And look what Biden did for them. That helps. All right, we're not going to go through all of them. Just saying. But just remember, these don't help anybody.
So, you know, what I've learned in politics, since I was kind of thrown into that, being an ex-
you dove in. You weren't thrown in by anybody.
I didn't think it mattered, right? Politics didn't matter. But I'll tell you one thing I noticed. When we get through all this, and we get to this great place we're going.
The Lord's kingdom.
There's going to be a complete... I don't care which party, there's, but evil has popped up in both things. You got your crooked Republicans, Brian Kemp and Doug Ducey, that popped their heads up, all these people. But you know what? You take and you look at that. People are going to be put in that are appointed for the people, elected to.
Yeah, that is so right. I just prophesied that you were going to say that just now. And I usually, when I say I did something,
help the people. Yes. Yeah, like our great president, Donald Trump, when I first met him,
exactly right, Amy.
One thing I knew right away, he had no agenda other than help the people. But there were common sense things. Here's a problem, here's a solution, but he knew what it would manifest to help the people. That's a gift. That's a God-given gift. And you put our politicians that are in place now, 90-some%. I met them on both sides. I met so many politicians, I don't even know my name. All of them. All of them, both sides, they have a political agenda or a personal agenda.
Really? Really? Unlike you?
And both of them are horrible. When you have...
political and personal agendas are terrible, Mike. Anybody who has a political or personal agenda, like trying to get their friend who they really believe is God's own operator on earth to be president again by manipulating policy and for political gain for their party and their belief system, both of those are awful.
You have two parties and you have this divide, and all of a sudden you can't be over here if you're a Christian, or you can't be over here if you're pro-life. Everything's just. Well, what happened?
It is just, and sometimes it's.
We were all people. We're all God's people, and this is going to be.
Yeah, that's what Biden's actually been saying.
When we get through it, the greatest uniting of our country in history, and it'll be and that's why we are in the biggest revival ever. People don't look for God and Jesus unless things are going bad.
Right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, what do you need God for if things are good? Why would you celebrate the beauty of the world when don't you? I mean, I don't know about you, but certainly Mike and these guys do that. If things are going all right, God who? You know what I mean? New soul, who dis?
Right. You think everybody was running around in December of 19 looking for hope? No, they're going, we're here. They're having a great old time.
You mean during Christmas?
Yeah. All right, let me bring in Mario before the break. Mario.
Yeah, you want to do that? I gotta go. I mean, this goes on for another hour. There's just no way I'm certainly not doing any of Mario's bullshit. But I'm glad. I think of all things, there we go. Sorry. Hey, Mike, thanks for subscribing. I'm not saying your name. Got it back. Sorry, I don't know what the switchover was. I got it. I don't know what that was. I just switched back to the other page and it just went away. So I think if we get anything from the Flashpoint Mike Lindell crowd is that to those guys, Jesus is for sale. That really, the commodity prices that Eric Trump was bitching about are really just another way of describing the message of Christ. At Flashpoint and from Mike Lindell, it's, there's frozen concentrated orange juice and the whatever Jesus said when he wasn't disagreeing with everything that I live for. So Trump couldn't even get an airplane off the ground? Yeah, especially now. Jesus for sale, get your fresh Jesus. Yeah, it reminds me of that Wet Teddy Bears ad that is on right now. But I want to be abundantly clear in terms of Lindell and all that. There's a reason why they attach this to religion the way they do, is because they want the auto, and it's not about the gullibility of Christians in general, because Christians in general are not on the side of this. They're part of the big middle that these assholes at Flashpoint largely, ignore. That, the snake handler and prophet window of evangelical Christians represents an even smaller slice of that. The reason that Mike Lindell and Gene the Jesus Machine and Hanky Cooney and Lanny Walnuts and all those guys circle the wagons around Christianity for the sake of their political message is it because if you attack it on its merits, like Mike Lindell was alluding to, you're really attacking Jesus. They know that other people who believe in Jesus or believe in the teachings of God in any form you are attacking religion just by attacking them. So it's the thing that, when they go after Fauci because the science hadn't caught up yet, and he's like, attacking me, you're really attacking just the science. They're doing that with religion. They're using that same accusation about religion. If you attack Mike Lindell's bullshit about the election, you're really going after Jesus. Hal, do you have to go to church to get to heaven? Always wondered that. No, because people are born, live, and die without ever being anywhere near a church. And why would you create a situation where people have to learn a specific lesson? You know full well they never came in contact with the gospel. So why would you punish everyone who lived or died because they never met a preacher that taught them the right thing that was the magic keyword? It's just sales. Be a good person. Learn your values and your ethics from your own behavior. Reteach yourself all the time about what's right and what's good, and try to follow that as much as possible. And, do your best to harm no one. And if your focus is on that, I have to believe that, wherever you go after this, you're on the good side of it. I don't know. I can't think of a reason why, if I was God, to actually create hell, because I'd really only create the universe as a way of teaching souls. So you just keep going back and you'd be good one life and bad the other. And then eventually you would sort of spiral your way up Nirvana-esque into a higher state of being where you understand what ignorance is. You understand what fear is. You understand what love is. And you make an active choice. Yeah. But these dudes are just straight up grifters. And I don't know, like half the time I'm like, Lindell's just a drug addict and a gullible idiot. And then the other half of the time, he's obviously got a business model with these folks. So I don't know if they're ticks on his dog or the other way around, but it's gross. So I'm going to sign off. Love you guys. Thanks for sticking around late, those that did. And I will see you tomorrow. I'm on earlier on Thursday. I'll be on at 2 o'clock my time, which is an hour earlier because we have family FaceTime after that. And then Friday and Monday, more than likely, I'm not doing a show because I will be traveling. I will try, but I fingers crossed it will function. But it's going to be hard enough to get the radio show off the ground. So, and we're announcing Sexy Liberal dates and some other stuff. So sexyliberal.com/tour, they'll start posting stuff like that. I've got a lot more information on that. And of course, then July 12th is my next Flapper show. August 1st at San Manuel Indian Casino, we're doing a Nerd Halen show. It's going to be a great time. Shows are starting up again. I look forward to seeing you guys in person. It just warms the cockles of my heart to know that I'm going to get to hang out with some of you folks in person quite soon. So Fingers crossed. Everybody stay healthy. Avoid the Delta variant. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, please do. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye.